Good morning, everyone. We are going to welcome you to the Public Facilities Budget Review meeting, October 1, balmy October 1. We are on our agenda, our schedule this morning. We are going to skip the overview just because everybody that has been through the last 2 days have already have instructions and whatnot. I will mention before having Tim and whoever else come down that the budget review, if trends hold for the last couple of days, is we are interested in the discussion or just the overview of any FTE, full-time equivalent personnel changes at first from your department, and then we have for the budgets for various in front of us, and any big changes, larger changes, both dollar amount or percentages, we'd be interested, and then we both committees reserve the right to ask on any of that. So not looking to trip anybody up this morning. So that being said, I don't think there's anything else that needs house kept here. So then let's just jump into the Department of Public Facilities and ask Tim to come on down. You have buildings and grounds, airports, carts, and parks in that order. And then if you would introduce yourselves just for the record, please.
Good morning, everybody. Tim Carr, Director of Public Facilities. Josh Rothwell, Assistant Deputy Director of Public Facilities, Buildings and Grounds.
Chad Marks, Deputy Director of Finance for Public Facilities.
Thank you, gentlemen. Go ahead and take it away, talk about your any FTE changes or whatnot to review, and then jump right into your various areas.
Thank you for having us here this morning. I have 0 changes in FTEs, no new personnel on board for this coming year. The only increases you'll see through my budget is all contractual stuff and utilities. Lease agreements per contracts increased. We can go ahead and go through line by line if you'd like, but pretty cut and dry this year for us. Everything seemed to work out well. The only other increase that you'll see per building is under our grounds maintenance stuff, and that is due to salt usage. Yes, last year we had a significantly more snowfall and more ice, and more salt used in parking lots and stuff. Also, that contract is new this year with a new vendor, so this price of a bag of salt per pallet increased slightly. Utilities, we use the Erie County Comptroller for all our buildings for projections. They gave us about a 15% increase in gas and electric across the board. So how we calculated that was with per square footage per building, based on usage in the past, figure it out per building per square foot, and then we get the charges in. Also, I'll add to the jail budget that's within my budget, the buildings and grounds budget, is for the gas, because they're on the centralized heating and cooling system. So that additional increase on their side of things is for the gas increase.
All right, very good, Josh. Thank you for that. We had I don't know if it was an argument or a discussion anecdotally outside of the meeting yesterday regarding salt on roads. Does anybody want to rekindle that? I'm sure they don't. So, but this would be the time to do that. Questions, comments on any of that or anything else that we're seeing here? Pretty straightforward with just contractual stuff. So, yeah. Okay. Anything? Hearing, seeing.
Chairman, we're going to stay on buildings and grounds for a few minutes.
By all means.
Okay. Josh, looking at your point ones, substitute pay has had a 100% increase.
Yeah, that's due to cleaners being off and substitutes coming in. And then once we get that position filled, then it goes back, back down. So you'll see the substitutes get called in if we have a cleaner out for any extended period of time. And then that's where that cost is higher this year.
So must be you're seeing more absences of cleaners then?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something we should be concerned about, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything that's outside of the contract, as far as their time off is concerned. The only other thing with the substitute cleaning is, we also take care of the airport and the DPF building, and that cleaning position is a little more difficult to keep filled, being it's part-time, and it's only 4 hours per building per week. So a lot of times we have to take, if we don't have anyone in that title, which we do right now, but if we don't have anyone within that title, we have to take a cleaner from Mayville or Jamestown and sub them in there, and then that gets charged back to that too, so.
Sure. Yeah. I understand the mechanics of it. My question really was related to, we're doubling the budget, so it must be something has changed from the way things used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I can look
So our
at,
experience has been that we need more substitutes than we used to need.
yeah, I mean, I can dive into that a little bit farther too, and email you if you'd like.
Okay. I see that sewer charges for the buildings here on the campus are going up 14-15%.
Correct.
What leads you to that conclusion?
I emailed the sewer district and they said, let me find it right here. Yeah, they have a planned rate change for 2026 that's most likely going to be later in the year. And the current rate is, what we're currently paying right now is $135 a unit. And one unit is 17,500 gallons. And that current rate is projected to increase from that $135 to $154.75 a unit. Expected towards the end of next year, 2026.
Thank you, that's what I was hoping you were going to say.
Yeah, so and we didn't increase that in all the buildings either because we went off of predicted usage for this year.
Sure.
So there was 2 buildings where we left it the same, and then in others we increased it a little bit.
Okay. And in the Clothier building, other contractual goes down by $500,000.
Yes, that was, last year we had budgeted approximately $500,000 to do the maintenance on the exterior of the HRC building, and that no longer needs to be in this year's budget.
Okay, so that project is completed?
It's being worked on right now.
Okay. And how's it going?
It's going good. It's going really good. They've been here, luckily we've had great weather, so they've been,
This is the second week, I think?
second week of the project, yes.
Okay.
So it's currently in the works.
Okay. That's all that I had for buildings and grounds, Mr. Chairman.
Very good, thank you. Anything else sticking out to either committee to mention? All right, very good. We appreciate that. Thank you for that, Josh.
Yes, sir.
We are,
Thanks, Josh.
next on our list is the airports.
Did you get this?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, all.
Morning.
Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
John McAmer, Deputy Director, Airports.
Brian Bates, System Manager, Airports.
Thank you, gentlemen. Go ahead and
Yeah, so
tell us what you have here.
we have no FTE changes for 2026. Looking at Jamestown expenses, we have a $43,894 increase it's approximately about a 4.6% increase year over year in expenses for Jamestown. Primarily attributed just to contractual pay increases and associated benefits. Also, increase in utility rates, electric, gas, water, and then increase in property tax rate. So project total expenses at $945,575. For revenue, we're projecting a $20,290 decrease for FY 2026. That's due to the loss of the Hangar A rent, which was previously leased by Luscombe, as well as loss of airport restaurant rent. Both those facilities are in the process of being leased, but we haven't finalized anything on that yet, so that's not included in the projected revenue.
So, John, do you anticipate that that hangar will be leased next year?
We're hopeful, yes.
So even though you haven't finalized the lease, you anticipate that there will be a lease there next year?
Yes.
And you don't have a final number for it?
No.
So there is a potential revenue increase from what you're projecting?
Yes.
With that and the restaurant both.
Yes.
Yes.
The restaurant RFP is currently out, and so anticipate hopefully finalizing that soon. But
Let me ask a more difficult question then. What's your confidence in having a lease for the hangar?
There's some variables right now on the hangar, so it's difficult to say for certain. I would say 70%.
I think the better question is, would you be comfortable with putting a little expected revenue back in there? You know, and that's where Pierre's getting to. So,
Yeah.
you know, let's just say if that rent was, what was the rent last year? Was it, you know, I don't know, that there's two portions of that 20,000. I mean, would you feel comfortable putting 8,000 back in, or 12, or nothing?
I think we were approaching it just with the variables with the Hangar A. There's different variables involved with that, and then and also the amount of rent that we would receive for that, and then also with the restaurant, you know, not knowing who would be the operator and what the rent would be projected at. We wanted to, instead of just ballparking that, we wanted to come in with accurate numbers and then, if needed, make an adjustment.
Well, and I would think that your confidence level for the restaurant would be lower than your confidence level for leasing the hangar.
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say it that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I-
good to know.
Do we have someone interested in the restaurant?
So we have the RFP out, and there has been some interest in the restaurant.
What's the restaurant rent? Are you,
That's to be determined based on what we receive back for proposals.
well, you're giving us all the answers, right? What's the hangar rent? What's the hangar rent? Is there a monthly?
It's the same RFP,
okay.
the RFP process, yeah.
I'm not,
I mean,
I'm just,
Yeah, I'm confused about the rent. I mean, wouldn't you say this is the rent? You know, or do you, like, people don't usually negotiate their own rent.
So, I mean, the county RFP process, you know, it's a sealed bid process, and we look at the proposals that we receive,
Okay.
and then we go from there. We don't set a price right from the beginning, you know, advertise it as that. We go through the
Oh, okay.
standard county RFP process.
Okay.
The question I have too is that when the other parties vacated The buildings are in good runnable condition, no upgrades or fixes had to be taking place that affect the budget either?
Yeah, so the restaurant, we have newly upgraded equipment. There is some things that could be upgraded in the restaurant, but overall, it's, good condition. And Luscombe hangar, the contents are still there in the hangar, in the process of being removed. But overall, the building's in good condition, yes.
I'd like to encourage us on the restaurant part to not put too much more into that. We've had a trend of investing $20,000 to collect $5,000 a year, and those numbers just, I know you'll do the right thing, but keep that in mind, that we can't be, or we shouldn't be putting thousands and thousands in to collect a third or a quarter of what we're charging in rent. It doesn't make sense. It made sense when we did it.
Yeah, maintenance-wise, we're good to go. There's nothing more going into the restaurant. We'll need a little bit in hangar A, but we reflected that in our building maintenance budget, which we'll take care of that.
Okay.
For Dunkirk, looking at a $39,626 increase in expenses. It's approximately a 6% year-over-year increase. Again, that's primarily attributed to contractual pay increases, associated benefits, utilities, and we had some unforeseen building maintenance expenses in 2025, so we increased a little bit on that. For 26, revenue projecting 66,000 and 2026 revenue. That is the same as what the 2025 adopted budget was. The reason for that being that we're projecting to come in about $1,800, $2,000 under our budgeted revenue. So my calculations in the position versus previously, calculated a little bit differently. So I think the 66,000 is actually an accurate projection.
So could someone explain the increased costs in the property taxes for the water tower renovation?
Yep. So that's the water tower, Brad. I think you have the most background.
Yeah,
on that.
the town of Ellicott redid the water tower up around the airport, and now they're levying all of the users of that water tower to pay for painting and the repair of it, and because we're the biggest users, that's our percentage of the levied for the water tower. So, and that'll be for the next 10 years, right? Yeah.
Okay, so that's spread over 10 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yep.
I knew what that was, but that's just a sore spot, so.
I agree.
You're projecting for the Jamestown Airport, the budget for gas, natural gas, to go up 39%. That seems like a large increase compared to what we saw in buildings and grounds.
Yeah, the projection was based off of our projected 2025 expense and, year-to-date usage and expense for that.
Yes, I see that our 2025 expense is high through mid-year. Would that have anything to do with the hangar? Was the tenant previously paying for the gas and now we are? Would that have anything to do with that?
No. That's not associated with the hangar. I mean, I'm thinking, with the winter that we had, could be attributed to that, the increase.
Well,
The other thing is, big hangars, the doors open and the building cools down pretty fast, and then furnace runs and the doors shut.
No, we don't
you know.
pay utilities in there.
I'm sure they probably use a little more gas than this building does, just efficiency wise. I saw that number too, and I was a little,
Yeah. Yep. You had the same thought I did, that is it
Yeah.
something that we're doing that's causing the increased usage of gas?
the tenants could have that thermostat turned up more too, or, you know, using some more energy. I don't know if hangar that Luscombe ever had open door anyway. I don't think they did anything up there, but I can't blame it on the door opening on that one.
Okay. And the Dunkirk Airport, overtime pay has gone up 140%.
It,
I think that couple of things, we were filling, myself was spent most of the winter plowing there, which is a little more expensive than an everyday plow driver in overtime. And also being short-handed over there increased the overtime. We were down an employee for several months, so. And plus being a bad winter, it was, you know, most overtime we've had in Dunkirk in the 8 years I've been here, as far as plowing, so, you know, I think a couple of that contributed to that.
Okay, and so you're anticipating a hard winter this year, or next year?
Yeah. According to the news, it sounds like we're gonna get it again, so
Okay,
who knows?
that's understandable.
Yeah.
you know, going through the process here and, you know, trying to be as accurate as possible on our projections, you know, I was looking, being new to the role here, I was looking at prior years as well, not, you know.
Sure.
Trying to trends, averages, and it's, you know, it's up and down. Like 2024, our actual amount for 2024 overtime is, you know, 30% more than what we're budgeting for 26. It was $8,500. So if you look at 2023, it was at 2,000. So, you know, where do you land there? And so, yeah, we increased it some because we thought that was prudent.
It also shows a trend on the airport being busy, because we don't go in for overtime unless there's a reason to.
Sure.
So, I mean, that means we've got, you know, usually, you know, revenue bringing planes coming in, you know, for both airports.
And generally, I mean, that's going to be for your larger aircraft, too.
Yeah.
You know, Wells, right? Wells is busy. They have 2 jets coming in and out of Dunkirk. We're going to be there to make sure the runway's clear and safe.
John, just to follow on your comments, we certainly understand you being new to the position. You don't have a lot of the understanding of the history and so forth. So you're looking at past and trying to project based on those. We really appreciate Brian's perspective from the day-to-day and his experience over the years. So this really helps us understand the numbers. We're not being critical, we just want to understand.
Sure. No, I definitely appreciate that, and you know, I say new, not as a, please don't think of it as a rationalization or excuse or anything like that. I mean, new or not, right? We need to be accurate.
Sure.
And I definitely echo you with Brian. I appreciate his experience and insight on this as well. Very valuable.
Now, looking at the Dunkirk Airport still, other contractual, that's been like a heartbeat monitor. 23 was 5,000, 24 was 32,000. Half year this year is 18,000, and we're budgeting 7,000. What's going on there?
Old hangar doors.
Old hangar doors. Please elaborate.
Just the constant maintenance, like on the larger doors, breaking cables, breaking motors, and we've seen a lot of this year. And we do, luckily, 2 of our most problematic doors are being replaced with a state grant, hopefully within the next year. So, hopefully this will level out. But there, as anybody that's been over there, those hangar 1 and 2 doors are sketchy, and the cables break a lot, and we're constantly maintaining them, and the size of them, and the criticalness, we have a vendor do it, so to make sure it's done properly, so that's why it's,
So that's why you anticipate it coming down next year,
Yes.
is because of the 2 doors being replaced.
The door gets stuck up and the heater runs all day.
That's why the gas bill's up.
That's right. And then, so it's hitting 2 departments here.
Sorry, that's the other airport. Good try, though.
and there's no heat in those days.
Yeah.
And that's all I had for the airport. Chairman.
All right, very good. Is there any other airport questions, comments? All right, hearing none. John, Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
that. Thank you, John. Brian, thank you. Next, we are talking Chicago Transit. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Westphal from Parks, Senior Project Coordinator. Yeah. Thank you. Our FTEs do look like they have gone up, but in fact, what has happened is some of our substitute hours have turned into part-time positions the way they're budgeted. So the substitute hours have gone down and they just have been budgeted under base pay. So they look like they're part-time positions now. So it hasn't really affected the budget very much. What happened is the drivers went over hours in 2024, and Human Resources said because the drivers went over the 1,039 hours, sorry, they had to be put into a part-time position rather than a part-time substitute position. So that's why they're reflected as a part-time position rather than a part-time substitute position, if that makes sense. Took me a minute to understand, but, so that's why it's reflected like that as full-time equivalents. And then we did add a part-time 19A examiner position to the budget this year because both of my 19A examiners are retiring in 2026. And we have to have a 19A examiner on staff to do the mandated 19A paperwork and examinations and different things that he does. So my one 19A examiner is retiring in January, but has agreed if we were able to have it in the budget to stay on until we can get somebody trained and on board. That normally takes, at the bare minimum, 18 months. If you hire somebody, they have all the paperwork that they need, and we get them on board with the DMV and trained and tested, bare minimum 18 months. Longer if the DMV doesn't cooperate.
Is that trainer also a driver? I'm not following you.
No,
Okay.
no.
s-
So
Okay.
there's
s-
two separate things.
There are two separate things.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
you previously had two of those trainers on staff?
Yes, we have one as our Dunkirk supervisor, he's a
Okay.
19A examiner, and then we have just our, they're both a grade 10, and there's one that does just the 19A stuff. The
And they're
plan-
both retiring?
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
the plan was one was going to take over when the other one retired, but now they're both retired.
They're both retiring. Okay, okay. Thank you for that.
So that is why it looks like our full-time equivalents are up. We're not adding staff, well, other than the part-time 19A, but we didn't add any other staff. We just reduced the substitute hours because they're reflected in the base pay now.
So we assume they can fill that position as long as they're working on their training certification. They're allowed to fill that position. We don't just go 18 months without somebody.
No, we will fill that position, because they have to be employed and do the training, that's part of it.
So
You
as
have
they're
to-
doing their training, they're allowed to.
Yes.
Do we have somebody in mind already, or do we gotta hire them?
I don't have anybody, I don't know who would be interested, if,
I
hopefully
didn't know
one
if it
of the
was something we could
drivers.
hire within the drivers, or if it was, we had to put it out and wait
I'm
for
hoping that
applicants.
one of the drivers would be interested, I'm not sure. Because a lot of our drivers are retired once already, so I don't know if they'll want to come back.
I did see a young one the other day.
Yeah.
It was the first one I've ever seen.
Well, Michelle, on my second day here, this is the most creative, interesting FTE explanation we've had thus far. So I wasn't here Monday, so maybe I'm mistaking all that, but thank you for walking us through that. So let's pause right there. Questions, comments on that explanation for what we have going on? We do see that in our reflected, but she was able to give us much more information regarding that, regarding FTE changes with carts.
And to confuse it, it sounds like we're gaining half employee more so than adding an employee. Because if we're getting rid of one to retire and gaining a part-time, then
Yeah.
in theory, we're gaining half an employee. For now.
We do like to keep it interesting with carts.
So, all right, on to your budget.
Okay.
I have a FTE question, not necessarily particular to that tricky thing. How has it been in retention, recruitment, and have you been able to have the bus drivers? I know bus driver shortages is still a thing.
It is.
And is it something that you're struggling with, or, there's a need for transportation in our county? Not, and can you manage what you have, or could you add more too? Because I know there's other departments that could benefit from some extra coverage or some creativeness, but could you do it?
Right today, with the drivers that we have, we could not. We right now have 3 open benefited positions, the 30-hour-a-week positions, that we struggle to fill because I don't know why.
You don't know, and that's the question,
I mean,
why
part
do
of
we?
it is because the school districts pay more than we do. And a lot of it is the entry wage is not as high as other places. And that's what people look at. They don't always look at the longevity and the bonus and the New York State retirement and, a lot of people just look at the bottom line of the wages.
Okay. Yeah, I know, it's a tough situation. And you raise the rates to entice someone, and then school districts do the same. It's tough. School districts have a way of battling each other too, and try to entice drivers from one district
And
to another.
there's bonuses and different things like that we can't offer. And we did, at one point, they were a grade 1 and now they're a grade 4. So we did, at one point, raise the rate of pay, but it's tough to get people.
Just what type of an investment is it for someone to get all their proper training and?
We train.
Understood, but is it a, what type of a time commitment it's quite a process, correct? To have all their credentials to be able to become a driver?
Well, if they come, they have to get their permit, which they have to pay for. And then they have to have classroom training, which is a couple of days with us. And then they have to have about, depending, it's about 5 days, 5 or 6 days behind the wheel with our 19A driver trainer. He does about 5 or 6 different days of 3 hours behind the wheel with them. And depending, at that point, he assesses how they're doing, and then they sign up for their road test. And then, once they're tested, we get them, once they pass, then we get them out there with the veteran drivers and get them trained, and then they're out there.
Just gotta find the bodies.
You just gotta find the bodies, yep.
Yeah, I got a question. What's the difference in pay between a substitute driver and a full-time driver?
The only difference is that a substitute driver only goes up to step 5. And then they get no more step increments, and then the benefited drivers can go all the way up to step, is it 11? 11. There's no other difference. And then, benefited
The
drivers get
benefits.
the health insurance and vacations. and-
But are some of your drivers older drivers that have, I don't know, already have benefits, already have?
Yeah,
So that's not really something they're enticed by?
correct.
Yeah.
I mean, for like the health insurance, they can opt out and get the opt-out pay.
Oh, okay.
But they still, a lot of them don't want to be, because then if you take a benefited position, if you want a day off, then you have to have time to take it. If you're
Right,
just a
yeah.
substitute, you can just be like, hey, I'm going to Florida for a month, and you don't have to worry about having time to take.
It's hard. It's, school districts are having a hard time finding drivers. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're long days. We have long days.
All right, very good. Thank you for that. Anything else regarding, all right, let's jump into the budget then, Michelle.
Okay. So our, our point ones, our increase was basically contractual. Our point fours actually went down, and our benefits appear to have gone down as well. So we did not have a huge increase in our expenses. Our revenue went up a little bit. We're hoping it'll go up more. We do have a few things in the works with a couple of different agencies. Too early to put into the budget, but hoping that they will come through. I can go into more detail with each line if you want, or I don't.
We're here a while. Take your time.
Michelle, could you explain your note on the federal aid saying the reduction is due to no 2026 reimbursements? What's that mean?
That is just, that was just because we don't have any capital that we have in there this time. Like last time we had, we were buying different things and we were getting capital money back. We just don't have any capital that I have in the operational budget this time. We had radios this year. We had, I don't remember what was in this year's budget, but we're still getting our federal operating assistance.
The federal operating aid is not impacted by
Not
this
at
then?
all.
So this was reimbursement of capital expenditures?
Yes.
That was the federal aid regarding the capital expenditures?
Yes.
That we had more of in the past, and this coming year, we don't expect any?
Correct.
Because we don't expect any capital projects?
That's in the operating. There's capital that's in the capital accounts, just not in the operating account.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm assuming the substitute pay decrease is part of the base pay increase?
Yes.
Where all that went?
Yes.
I'm not following what you mean by increase in charters.
For the trolley that we have, we do charters.
Oh, okay, okay. I was thinking of, yes. I was thinking of agreements and whatnot, so, okay.
Oh, no.
Very good.
Yep.
You've got a $60,000 decrease in computers and software?
Yes. We are getting a new software system for our scheduling, and New York State DOT has paid for everything for that for the next 3 years. So we don't have any support that we have to pay for. So that will be for this year and 2 years following,
Will we see that come back in 3 years then?
probably.
So we'll enjoy the break while we have it?
Yeah, it will not be as high as it was. I do not believe, it shouldn't be as high as it has been with the software that we're currently using.
Okay.
So there'll still be some savings.
And Michelle, big increase in publicity and promotion.
Yes.
Well, that, last year, we did a resolution, and they put it under contractual. I just moved it from contractual to publicity and promotion.
Okay, so,
It's the Spectrum advertising, the TV advertising. We had done a resolution, I believe it was in April maybe, or maybe, no, it might have been in July, that we did that resolution. And it was added back into our budget. And then when they did it, they put it under the contractual account. And then I moved it from the contractual account to the publicity and advertising account this year.
so that looks like it went into other contractual and it hit the amended budget,
Yes,
okay? And so that other contractual is you're budgeting to come back down to where it was in 2025,
yes.
essentially. So, okay, got that. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I have a global question along the lines of Legislator Pavlik. We read in the press that Chautauqua Institution is embarking on a plan next year of housing many of their employees at the JCC dorms.
Yes, I saw that.
And part of their plan is to contract with the Resource Center for shuttle service for those employees between the institution and JCC campus. What I get questioned is, how come Chautauqua Transit isn't doing that?
Yes, I saw that yesterday for the first time, and I'm questioning that as well, because the last time that they were supposed to be in the dorms, we were going to do it. That is on I just saw it yesterday, so that was on my list of things to do this afternoon, was to make a phone call, because
That they had contacted your office and never got a response. So he led me to believe that they are not under contract with the Resource Center yet, so I believe you have an opportunity there, and I would definitely
Okay.
pursue that.
I never got the message, so I'm not sure who he,
Didn't elaborate,
okay.
I didn't press it, but I'm just
Did
suggesting,
not have his contact
Peter, do you
information.
have contact information for him that you could share with us?
I will do that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Great,
Yeah.
Good.
I would, yeah, love to have that conversation.
thank you.
All right, great. All right. Anything else regarding where we are? We are moving on to the bus operations SUNY review, I believe.
SUNY is just a pass-through. We, because they do the
Yes, I
shuttle.
remember that from last year.
So it's just a pass-through. We do their STOA, and then we get the money from DOT, and then we just cut them a check and send it to them.
So no changes there.
Nope.
Alrighty, anything else from the committee for carts? Talk with transit. How is the rebrand of, what, we're into a couple years now? How's that gone now that we're looking back on it?
I think it's gone really well. We've gotten a lot of good feedback. from the wraps especially. So I think it's gone really, really well. I really, when we get the junction up and running, it'll be nice to have that and have, you know, the buses down there and like do a big ribbon cutting down there with a new sign and stuff with the new name. I mean, we never really did do a big kickoff with the new name.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
Do we have any update on that hub down there?
We're in the process of working with Labella and Timber Hut, and should be going out to bid here before the first of the year for that structure and that building. The city was doing some more testing, some more environmental testing that the city had to do and complete, but yeah, things are on schedule and moving forward.
and we do have DOT
And we did just get,
backing us.
yeah, another
and
notification that we did receive another $130,000.
no number,
So,
yeah.
I just
it
have-
will happen.
I just have one comment, is, you know, I think there's a potential to expand and get new business, but the inability to expand for drivers' reasons. I think it's important to focus on being as a, you know, capitalizing on what you can do and really, you know, filling the buses that are running. And you know, I think that it's a great service for our community, even that we do have the transit. And, you know, really getting people to utilize it is key. And, you know, the runs that are running, filling them as efficiently as we can. And I know you really have tried to do that over the you know, last several years. So, you know,
Thank
building on what we do have, and realizing that we really, you know, some of those other things, it'd be nice to be able to do, but, you know, you just don't have the drivers there, the equipment or manpower to do it, so.
Well, I do have an RFP that I'm going to be putting out in the next, hopefully by the end of the year, if not the beginning of next year, for the last part of the MEP grant that we have, which is 100% funded through the state, for a consultant to come in and just look at our routes and to try to tweak them to make them more efficient and cost-effective. So
Yeah.
that'll be the last part of the whole rebranding, so that, you know, just to see what we're missing, because we look at them all the time. So I just need a new set of eyes to take a look and make sure that, see what we're missing.
I'm glad to hear that, because it's, and that's what was my comment, is look, we got to be as efficient as we can with what we do have, too. Even if, look, you may have to realize that you can't hire those 3 people, so how you know, how can you be efficient with
Right.
3 less people than you need to? So, and fulfill those gaps, because obviously there's gaps with 3 less people, so, and is that gap affecting the operations, and how so? So how can you adjust to, and part of that is you're utilizing more on a sub, but what if that sub goes away, or you don't have that sub availability, you know? Sub is just as important. I'd rather have 10 subs sometimes, you know, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fingers crossed they come in and can see something that we're not, and
Do we have a way to track to see which advertising benefits us the most? I mean, I know we increased the budget last year for the Spectrum stuff because we felt it was doing us
Yes.
beneficial favors, but obviously with the $47,000 and with the increase there, do we have a way to track that?
just got the contract signed, so we just got the commercials back out there, but we can, she said she can run reports to show us what households that they have hit.
Yep.
So, yes, she can run some reports and I can run some reports, and
Do we collect people's contact information or anything like that? Do we send like a survey out and say, you know, how'd you hear about us or anything like that to see, I guess, that way from the consumer aspect?
people who jump on and off the city buses, no. You know, they just,
Get on and go.
yeah, like when we get the hub down there, we definitely will do something.
Yep.
Because when we would have the hub before, we would, you know, sometimes send people down there and do surveys. But now it's just standing in a parking lot.
Right.
So,
Well, I
no.
think even when we had a hub, even if we made something as simple as a Google Doc QR code, just to scan and have, 3 questions, how'd you hear about us, whether it was the
Sure.
commercial, whether it was word of mouth or whatever it is. I mean, you scroll through social media
Yeah.
and you get those all the time, Did you see a Nike ad there? And I think it would be beneficial for us to know how we're spending, or
Yeah.
what of the $47,000 is most beneficial to us, and if it's
Sure.
the commercials, then we increase it. If it's not the commercials, then we, still run it during Buffalo's Bills season and, get the football crowd, but we just don't push it quite as much, and we do something more local to where it's gonna hit the local aspect more so.
Sure.
And I
We
think
can
we've seen a
do-
big increase in our trolley rental, too.
Yes, that's
Oh, I've
been
seen it
huge.
go by well, summertime, obviously, most times, but,
Right.
Yes, next year we're hoping to have the commercials going prior to like wedding season so that people,
yeah,
So we
can
can
get that idea
yeah.
and park somewhere and drive them, and, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem, obviously, with advertising, I just think it's good to know where
yes.
we're getting the crowd
return.
most.
Yeah, definitely. We can definitely find somebody at work would know how to do it, but if not, my daughter does. But the Google Docs and the QR code and
Yeah.
get it on our Facebook page too.
For sure.
And, yeah.
I mean, it's obviously the cheapest way, I
Yeah,
think, right now.
definitely.
And I think we all have access to it, and I don't want to throw John D'Angelo into the mix, but I think
Yeah,
his
there we
department's
go.
fancy enough to figure something like that out.
Sure.
Even if we stuck it on paper and stuck it on all the buses,
Yeah,
I've
we
never
could
been on a
laminate
bus,
something
but,
and-
yeah, put it
yeah.
on a plastic little screen there, and everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
But just an
Almost
idea.
everybody. Yep.
All right, anything else for Michelle while she's here? I appreciate your time very much.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure he'll email it to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next on the list is our parks review. Andrew, if you'd introduce yourself, please.
Good morning. Drew Rogers, Deputy Director of Public Facilities Engineering. For the 2026 budget for parks, there are no proposed changes to the FTEs for that division. As far as expenses, we saw some increases and decreases, but overall, the expense total did go down a little over $3,200 compared to the 2025 adopted budget. The increases were due to contractual pay changes and change in benefit elections. Decreases largely due to reduction in anticipated equipment needs for 2026, and a decrease in lease costs for the park's main pickup truck vehicle. Originally had a projected budget for 2025, and once the model is selected and we complete the trade-in, we had the actual number, and it was a decrease from what was projected. So that worked out well. And revenue is largely unchanged. Parks sees the typical $150,000 from county occupancy tax. We anticipate roughly around $350 from donations that come in at the parks. And this year, we did add some equipment trade-in revenue of $1,000, just based off of what we've seen for the last couple of years, and the fact that the parks has added some new equipment, so we expect we'd probably be trading some in too. So overall, the local share is a slight decrease from 2025.
Very good, thank you for that summary. Questions, comments we have for Drew regarding parks?
I'll make a comment about the parks. We're seeing a lot more usage of the trails in Erlinson and Loonsman, and hopefully we're going to get some numbers together and we can show you the increase. Some of them are pretty dramatic. At least that's how I look at them. So, people that sign in, so we're actually a way to quantify the number of people using the trails. So I'm going to try to get those numbers and bring them to a committee meeting, just to show you the good work that the Parks Department's doing.
Great, thank you for that, Bob. When you say sign in, how's that done? What-
A lot of the trail entrances, there's a
Oh, box.
box you can sign in. We got QR codes all over everything
So I'm
now.
only on one sled, so I don't stop to do that on a snowmobile, so I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
So, it's a good way of keeping track.
Yeah.
It's a good way of asking for more money next year, because a lot of people are using the trails, because let's face it, people are coming to the county to use the trail. I mean, a lot of it is inter-county, but we got people that come to use our trails, which we all know means gas and food and maybe a hotel room, and so.
I had a question, is, we have revenue coming in. How long's that been, 150,000? Yeah, it only goes, we only have it back to 24. I mean, has it been that way for 10 years? And my point is, like Bob said, do have people coming in. Is there an opportunity to promote it a little bit, just as we are promoting the carts and advertising a little bit? Is there an opportunity to promote a little? And if we did that, that promotion does help with.
I think the way we're going to start,
the,
and I'm not speaking, well, I guess I am speaking. I've got some ideas, Jamie's got some ideas. I think we're going to start with Facebook and social media, or whatever you call that. I couldn't go on Facebook if you paid me, but I've got some ideas in mind to start there. It won't, quote unquote, cost us anything, but the people that are into using the parks and stuff are into getting information, and they do, I think, check in on those websites and stuff quite frequently. So we'll crawl before we walk, or whatever. And
There is the new website that has all the county trails on it too,
yeah,
that I think a lot of people have been directed to, that helps get people out to the trails as well.
but I have some really exciting ideas.
Well, Dan, I think you're asking an excellent question, and that would be something to keep in mind for tomorrow's hearings, when we have planning and economic development here, because they're the ones who propose the allocations of the 3% occupancy tax. And also, the parks are an integral part of placemaking for Chautauqua County, which CPEG is very interested in seeing improved. So bear that in mind and pose that question tomorrow.
And planning does attend our meetings, so
Yeah.
they're aware, or,
they're in the loop.
I think another thing too is the waterways. I know that we've been thankful the last couple of years to get some money to get them opened up. But I think we have to really look at something hard, to some sort of dollar amount to keep them maintained on a yearly basis also.
I agree.
We just can't stop maintaining them. We have to keep them maintained. So somehow we have to come up with a revenue source.
Yeah, the heavy lift has sort of been done, but
Right.
depending on the winter, the heavy lift might be there in the spring for us again. It's
And
a
the
very-
impact of the emerald ash borer is largely behind us, but until the next blight hits the next species of trees. So.
Well, a lot of those ash trees are still standing, and, they're just gradually coming in too, and if you walk that trail, so they recently opened up the Castanega Creek from Redbird over to, that's a big feat, because it's like this.
Yeah.
And boy, what a project it was, but like you said, there's probably already stuff in there now. And so some regular, some regular maintenance of that is warranted. And that's where I say, look, that's where I think, you've been spending the money you have, and if you had more, could you, would it help you? And I think
Yes.
that it
If
probably
we had more,
would.
we could do more.
Yeah, and it is
We're willing
important,
to
like Pierre
take
said, it's important to be able to utilize this and build it too, and that's, I think,
I didn't mean to
This
speak
is a
for
good
you.
way for us to give back to the community in the sense that we're collecting, we're collecting for it, but this is a way that helps everybody in the community if they so choose to utilize it,
And it's becoming a very, I don't want to say modern trend, but people are trending to waterways and trails and parks that aren't swing sets and spinny things that make you throw
Right.
up. It's,
I think even then, if we've got QR codes and stuff within that little sign-in spot, there's enough of the younger generation that scans a QR code and hits donate $20, and you could easily collect a donation that way, and not have any work necessarily involved in it, besides the transaction.
I had a question on the revenue side, federal aid. Has there ever been federal aid? Have we ever gone after any? Is it out there, or just it's not there?
To my knowledge, we've never had federal aid for the operation of parks. We've tried different funding sources for, on the capital side of things, like trail work or trail extension. Recently, we haven't been successful in those attempts, but we try to see what's out there and try to go for some money.
And Bob and I have talked about this. I'd love to see an emphasis on bike trails. I'm involved with some groups that you're biking last night, and every night of the week, it seems like you see these people in their fluorescent green out on the roads. And we'd love to see more trails that are safe and, or not dodging traffic. And,
well, if you're willing to get on your off-road bike, we got a lot of
Yeah, there's a
trails.
lot of that.
for-
Yeah, but I've been on, I spoke.
No, I'm
trails
just
that
saying.
are, blacktopped or.
And we do have an individual on the commission that does solicit and get a lot of grant money in that,
Yeah.
but it's not the leisurely biking, it's more the
Mountain biking.
Yahoo biking. Because every time you go around the corner, you go,
I go, oh,
Yeah.
my face, yeah.
yeah. But there is some energy, and we're starting to get some things together, and I'm excited about it. So, I'll put my pom-poms on.
No, that's all.
We'll open a trail to the airport, and then Bob will support it.
Good stuff. Just a question you had mentioned at the top of your comments there, Drew, about the pickup truck lease. And it's not really budget related, but does a governmental lease or a lease for the county have the same type of mileage restrictions or escalators that a consumer would in leasing a vehicle? Do you know?
I don't know the
Okay.
ins and outs. of
I'm just
leases.
curious.
I don't think
so.
we're not limited to mileage.
You're not,
No.
okay,
No.
all right. And we probably talked about that last year for as far as lease versus buy and all that type of thing, but I was just curious if that was an issue. I'm guessing it gets some miles on it.
Yeah, and I know Jim does work with Enterprise, our leasing company, that
Okay.
once they hit a certain mileage,
Yeah.
they can kind of, what the sweet spot is there to trade it in and get rid of it before it's the best
Okay.
value.
Gotcha. I realize it's just one vehicle you were talking and all, I was
Yep.
just on a bigger scheme of things, so, all right, good. Thank you. Anything else for Drew and/or Parks? From anybody? I am not hearing anybody, so Drew, thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. So schedule-wise, we are 20 minutes ahead of schedule, 10:30 is a
Chairman.
break. Yes.
We didn't cover forestry.
Then I apologize, yes, we did not.
Yeah.
Let's jump into that.
Okay. A8730, the forestry account. This is for the reforestation properties, no changes to the 2026 budget. These are the expenses for the property taxes on the reforestation properties. The expense total budgeted is $24,000. We usually budget a revenue around $5,500 for some gas well royalties. And then so the local share, again, stays the same as previous years at around that 18,500 mark.
Go ahead, ask it.
Well, no, I didn't even know forestry was part of your budget. Can you tell me more about what you do with forestry?
Yeah, the county has about 875 acres of reforestation property. And we work with forestry consultants and come up with a timber plan of where we can do a cut, and then those timber revenues go into the parks capital and fund the parks capital projects. And we're currently looking at another couple of cuts right now. We'll have to get into the RFP process on that and get the bidders on it, but that's what the reforestation properties are for. And there's other parks property out there that may have trails on it, maybe not. There's another 700 acres of just property out there for as labeled as parks property as well. And those could fall into those timber sales as well. They're not designated for it, but they're also there to do it.
Thank you.
So Drew, when was the last time we had a timber sale?
Earlier this year? Or was it last year? Last year.
Okay. And that revenue goes into the parks capital.
Yes.
And any idea what the balance is in the parks capital account?
We can get that
Yeah.
for you.
No,
Not
my
on top
head.
of our heads. But we can get
Do we normally have expenditures out of parks capital?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think it's a lot of money.
For the balance or the expenditures?
The balance that's sitting in the.
How much, Sam?
There's 150,000 in parks capital.
It's quite a bit of money.
150,000.
I guess if you're a blueberry farmer, it's not a lot
To
of
me,
money.
it's.
That's what you can see, it's 38,000.
Someone like
Bob gets
yourself.
that a week.
No, look at that, it's 38,000. is what we got left.
38, so we have left.
38,000.
Week's pay.
So that's good news for the continued development of our parks. And Drew, you indicated you're looking at a couple of more timber sales for the upcoming season then.
Yes.
Typically do those in the winter months?
I don't think,
Kind of
I don't know if we have a trend necessarily for when it gets done.
Okay.
I would say it's not typically in the winter.
Typically
because
not.
In the
It's
springtime.
easy to cut them down, it's getting them out. That,
I think it's usually in the springtime before all the foliage comes on.
yeah, maybe when the frost is around.
Yeah.
Now, too, it's dry.
Yeah.
Now, they don't destroy the ground, so.
We try not to hurt the mycelium.
That's a big word.
Look that one up.
All right, anything else regarding parks and or forestry? Is there anything else I've forgotten?
I guess my only question, you said the 24,000 is for taxes. Is that not considered tax, or non-taxable property that the county
Knew
owning
this
it?
question would come up.
I believe it's due to the reforestation properties and the ability to generate the money from it. Yeah. From the timber
Didn't you
sales.
say we can get that off parks property too? Revenue? So if we classified it as parks, could we still get revenue off of it and not pay taxes?
That I don't know.
Sounds like a gotcha question
So
there.
they have
the
different
law
stipulations on
Say,
them.
I'm
I
sure
know
it's a
that,
huge
like
legal thing, but-
reforestation property you can't sell without state legislation. Without,
You can't take the timber off of it without it.
You can't
As far as
sell the
the
property.
transfer of the property itself.
So it's
Without-
classified
without-
as-
Without
what
state
it's
legislation needed for.
You
need
can
state
with the
legis-
state's blessing.
Legislation to change that.
Well, then that brings us another question. You said 870 some acres that we have, 874, something like that. When was the last time that had changed? And had that increased or decreased? Or has it been that as long as anybody can remember?
long
Remain
as I've
unchanged?
known.
Okay. I was just curious if we ever added that in the recent past or subtracted from that.
And there's extra regulations on that also. When you sell, to make it simple, when you sell an acre, you're supposed to buy an acre.
Isn't that anything with
Okay.
parks, though?
Fair enough.
The acreage is supposed to remain constant unless you're selling for less. You sell 10 acres for $50,000, but you have an opportunity for 2 acres for $50,000, that are warranted, but it's all up to the state.
Oh, okay, okay.
So you want to make sure you're ready when you ask for that
Fair
kind of
enough.
stuff.
Yeah.
Is that good enough?
That's good enough.
Yes, thank you for that, Bob. Anything else? Anything else? All right, Drew, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We are, Tim, do you, just going into engineering, highway, and machinery, are those teams here?
Yeah.
If they're all here and we are scheduled for a break at 10:30, is the committee okay? We just take one now and then resume at 10:30?
Sure.
You okay with that?
Oh, not me.
No, if that's good, then let's do that. Let's resume at 10:30. I can do that, Olivia? Okay, all right. Let's resume at 10:30. Thanks. All right, we are back from our break, and we're going to continue on with the engineering discussion. So take it away, gentlemen.
Do you go right to engineering, or do you want engineering administration first?
We have engineers on our schedule, but.
Okay. Engineering, D 5020 is the engineering staff for DPF highways and bridges. There is a change to the FTE proposed for engineering, a reduction from 2025. We're no longer pursuing a split position with the landfill. Just haven't been able to find the right candidates, or any candidates for that matter. So we did add a seasonal position with that reduction, and then anticipate using some consultants to help fill a little bit of that void. So that was the change to the FTEs with engineering. The expense total then for engineering did go down for 2026. And again, it's largely due to that change in FTEs, because the engineering's budget is primarily just the employees. There's no revenue in the engineering division, and so then the local share and the expense are one and the same.
All right, very good. Drew, why don't you jump back also? I'm not seeing that unless I'm missing something, admin on our agenda, so hit that as well, if you would.
The administration?
Yes.
Okay. Administration, D 5010. That is the DPF administration staff, our director, safety coordinator, administrative staff, and associated department expenses. There's no change proposed with the FTEs in that fund. The expense total is an increase somewhat from 2025. We had some contractual pay changes, and funded out of this account is the Roblin site brownfield monitoring, and we've got some expense changes with that. We've got some changes to how the material's handled per DEC when they flush out the monitoring wells, and a monitoring well needs to be decommissioned. And then on the revenue side, there was an increase in the investment earnings, so overall a decrease in the local share proposed for that account.
Perhaps you could help us understand why the county is responsible for the brownfield monitoring of the Roblin site?
The county, before my time anyways, entered into a project to clean up the Roblin and Alumax sites in Dunkirk, former industrial sites, and clean those up. And part of the cleanup is to continue monitoring them at least until all the levels are below the cleanup measures. Obviously, the cleanup was done many years ago, and the monitoring still continues. Largely, everything comes back looking pretty well. A couple times there's had to be some dosage to the wells to try to bring levels more in line, but that's just a periodic thing. And so the testing is just an annual process that we have to do as long as we own those properties or have interest in those properties.
So the county still owns those properties?
Correct.
Okay. but I guess that's a question for the IDA, is what their plans are for those properties.
Yeah. I know somebody was looking at it at one point, and we had talked about, as part of that transaction, like, make sure you know that here's all that goes along with it, and it didn't end up going through. There were other factors associated with it too, but as far as future plans, yeah, I don't know what those are.
I know from past private experience, there's an opportunity to accelerate the conclusion of monitoring when you have clean results, as you indicated. So that's perhaps something we could talk more with IDA about the opportunity to pursue some acceleration of the discontinuation of the monitoring.
That would be good.
Thank you.
Is there just one site, is there multiple?
There's multiple. There's 2 sites.
Question on the engineering.
Yes.
That position's been open for a while. You stated that you're really just kind of pulling that position in. Is that, contractual is picking up some, but, is the work just being picked up by others? And then, is there a lag there? How do you fill that gap? And, does it strain other areas too? Like yesterday, we were in the meeting with the county law department, correct, right? And there's a huge backlog to get anything through. You're probably not, you're familiar with it. We're trying to improve that. Is that the case with the engineering? Does it take longer than it should, or is it okay?
There's no backlog. I think we're doing okay. This year, we're able to have 2 summer helpers. And I say summer helpers, they're engineering students. This year, they were civil engineering students. And they did a great job for us. And what that does is they're able to do work that frees up the full-time staff. So that was a big help right there, because that's when we're really busy and trying to go make sure that we're staying on top of projects and helping the maintenance crews when they're needed, whether a road project or a bridge project. And so we've been able to get by with that.
Is there potential to grow that program somehow? I'm not real familiar with what it entails for having when you're in engineering school, if there's those internships, and if there's that potential there to build on that a little more. Because I agree, I think having those, it's a body, and if it's a good body, you can utilize them, and it does free up so you can get by with not having the full position filled.
Yeah. It is something kind of interested in more and more, is trying to see if we can get internships, not necessarily just as summer work, but try to get into somebody's program if they need a semester at another time.
That's right.
So we actually had 3 or 4 students that were interested this year, and I keep telling them, let me know if you've got other
Friends
internship needs to fill, or if you know other people that are looking for help.
What college could we partner with on that, do you know? Is there anyone close I don't think JCC offers anything like that, or Fredonia?
I'm not an expert, yeah, I agree, and that's, that's where I'm trying to advocate for you a little bit, but I know other programs, like we have fellows in the
Yeah.
health department that come in and do stuff like that too, and so there's other programs that have been built around it, and I think it would be beneficial for you guys to be able to do that, and I'm sure even the landfill could use some people like that once in a while, and, I think that there's that potential there, because obviously, you're getting away from trying to hire the person that's not there, or, you can't get to come over to you, but, try to build on something that that could be more potential, but also that person could turn into a hire at some point in time. You think you'll be, great, you'll be catching a position, but the problem is someone will probably be retiring, so that, you'll need that position, so it's difficult.
The other thing that we deal with too is the private engineering firms are looking too, just as hard as we are. So that's, you're in competition there too, so that makes it even more difficult.
Sure.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments on the admin or the engineer's budget?
So, I think it may have been asked in a different way, but if I go to 2024, actual was 198,000 base pay. We're projecting for 2026, 253,000. So that would be a 12% increase each year for the last 2 years, which is, in real terms, significant. Have we spoken to what that is?
Is this in the
Public
engineering?
admin's
Well,
base
public
pay.
admin base pay.
Oh,
For 24 is 198,000.
public in the admin.
And presumably is a reflection of FTE somehow, or either that or a real big pay bump.
Those would be the, as far as I know, the contractual pay increases.
Contract, oh, I mean,
The pay steps and increments.
collective bargaining increments. Oh, so it might be the one-time shots in, as, in some of the other agreements, there was a one-time bump that goes in 25 and 26.
Yeah, that impacts almost every department.
Okay, so that could be, what did it? Because otherwise, it's 12.5% a year, which, goes, go tilt at, but if it's those one-time things, okay.
Promotions were involved in it too. There were a couple of employees in that staff that were.
Got a promotion raise. And presumably, if they've been promoted, then they're doing something bigger and better.
All right, thank you. Anything else? To be addressed on either admin or engineer's account? Not hearing any. We will continue to move along then this morning to discuss the highway fund.
Okay. Maintenance of roads, B5110. This is the highway operations, maintenance staff and maintenance supplies out of our 3 highway facilities in Faulkner, Sheridan, and Sherman. No changes proposed in the FTE. There was a misprint on the FTE sheet that shows us down 1, but that was a snapshot of when it was taken, and it shows the landfill up 1, so there was a employee change happening at that time. But there is no change in either, so no changes on the FTEs. And then the, as far as expenses, there is an increase proposed from 2025 to this year. Increases were largely due to contractual pay increases. We do have a title upgrade for one of the titles with the highway department. We have 2 titles, a road maintainer and a skilled road maintainer, that do the same work. And it was only a matter of an opening to change from one to the other. And with trying to attract and retain CDL drivers, we've added the stipulation that a skilled road maintainer is somebody that has their CDL, whether they start with it or earn it in our training program. And then a road maintainer gives us that opportunity to bring that person on who doesn't yet have his CDL and can start in that title, and then once the CDL is earned, can then go to that skilled road maintainer position. And then we just had our typical cost increases for supplies, which is basically our gravel, pipe, those types of things, the everyday use items that the costs never seem to decrease. And then the stockpile items, which is, again, are those same items that are kept at the facilities until they're charged out to road projects. And then this account does not have a revenue.
I have a question just in regards to the employee benefit elections. You have a lot of people, it's not, I can understand why it could be, quite a few people. Is there a driver behind that, why it was, so many election changes? And that's really a pretty significant amount, minus 230,000. Was there a certain purpose, or was it just chance?
I think it's kind of just the churn, some older employees retiring, newer employees coming in and starting off with different benefit packages. They may not need insurance because they're on their parents' insurance still, or they don't have families, so they're not picking up a family through either.
Okay.
Drew, was the CDL road maintainer information you'd mentioned, is that something new? Or that's something we've had established for quite some time?
The difference in the two titles?
Yes.
That'll be new going
That's new in
forward.
January 1st.
Oh, that's new, okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So we take someone on as a road maintainer that wanted to get a CDL and then train them on our dime, test them on
Yeah,
our
that
dime?
CDL program, we pay a portion of that back.
Okay.
And now this move here is to entice, make it more lucrative for somebody that's coming in with a Class B already, that we can offer them a little bit more money than starting out as a road maintainer.
Okay.
They do the same jobs, it's just one, just basically has to deal with their CDL.
Okay, all right. Does that individual do the testing as well, or that's solely, that only the training that we, New York State for the testing of the actual CDL test itself?
So our employee who works for us,
Yeah.
okay, does the training, and then he has the ability to take them to Hughes Center where they do the testing also.
Oh, okay.
And then that employee is also a regular,
Right.
when he's not training or testing, he's, I believe he's a truck driver, so he's driving truck, he's plowing snow in the winter, and the program so far has worked out very well.
Great, okay. Good to hear.
So, Tim, could you explain the increase in overtime pay of, going up by $50,000?
The winter?
Yeah, that was looking at our trends of where we were at with overtime.
Okay. So what's driving our trend of increasing overtime?
That was largely due to the harsh winters from last year. That really ate up a lot of the overtime budget.
Okay.
That's the primary driver, is the winters. Winters.
And you're predicting a harsh winter next year, too.
Yeah.
Drew, you commented that the increase in operating supplies is driving some additional expense, and it reflects a 3% increase in operating supplies, but the stockpile, you're projecting to go up 30%. So what's driving the stockpile?
Part of the stockpile, too, was looking at previous year's trends as well, and trying to be more in line with that. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so just looking back and saying it's probably going to happen again.
Yeah, looking back at that, and, I think we've mentioned before with the changing of the supervisor's staff, they each kind of do it a little bit differently as far as how much material they think they need to have on hand, or how they want to charge it out, and it's something we're going to actually meet next week about, since we had just done our annual inventory and review on everything to kind of see, do we need to have that much on hand, or could we cap it at a certain amount, or maybe it is needed.
I congratulate you on scheduling a review, because I would be asking the same questions, and so, good. Talk to us about employee apparel, new expense for $17,800, and apparently we have spent $15,000 this year so far through June. So what's going on there?
That's the boot allowance that the employees are given, based on the number, they have $200 per employee contractually to buy new safety boots or safety-toed boots for the road crews and.
Okay, and that's an excellent safety program, which I understand, and apparently it was missed in the 2025 budget.
Correct.
Because that went into effect in 2024, as I recall.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
I have a question on software maintenance. It seems to, like, that cost all of a sudden occurred in 2024 and then has kind of steadily risen. Is it just new software, new programming? What?
IT charges.
I think that's IT charges and just upgrades and.
They put everybody on the Chrono system last year where they weren't the road crews were not previously, so. Just additional licensing for that.
More licensing and stuff.
All right, anything else regarding just the maintenance thereof? Because you have a few others here, do you not?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We've got pavement markings, which is D 5110.3310, and this is the road striping paint supplies. So that's all the expense for white paint, yellow paint, and the glass beads that goes along with the paint. No change to that expense number. It works well. We're able to paint all over the roads on an annual basis. So it works out. It's a good number.
All right, very good.
I'm gonna jump back up to retirement of all tiers and D 5110. You've got a $119,000 increase. Are we planning for a large quantity to retire in the coming year? Or is that for the engineers retiring, or I guess what's our thought with that?
Which account were you looking at?
D 5110 of maintenance of roads for retirement all tiers.
That's just the pension cost, the employer's pension.
It's just gone up that much?
Yeah, the rates did increase
Okay.
this year, that you would see those increases in all the departments.
Okay.
Why would the rates go up?
The rates are set by the state. The comptroller sets the retirement pension contribution rate each year.
So that's based on whether the fund is under accrued and he's got to pick the returns up?
Essentially, yeah, in a nutshell.
Okay.
I would assume based off that, Kitty, that vacation buybacks have gone up due to wages and everything else that have gone up this year. Seems that vacation buybacks have went up across most departments.
Yeah, it's based on what their current salary is, so it's paid out at the salary amount. But it also has to do with, how many years of service somebody has and what they're able to sell back.
Okay.
All right. On to snow removal? Yes? No?
We got capital improvements.
Okay, all right.
We got D 5112 for capital improvements. There's two accounts with this. We've got D 5112.390 for the county bridge program. We're keeping the expense total the same as previous year. And so the revenue total for that is also staying the same. And that's utilizing DMV fees that are received, and then also a portion of the annual CHIPS allotment through the state. Also, we allocate directly to the bridge program. And then with that account specific to the bridge program, there is no local share. And the D 5112.391 account for the highway improvement program. We got the expense total, which is a decrease from 2025, and that is funded through DMV fees. Also with the road program, we do issue overweight permits, so we anticipate a certain amount of permit funding through that program. And then the large amount of funding that goes to the highway program is through the CHIPS. We got Pave New York and Pave Our Potholes. And these numbers are based off of our current funding amounts. And this year we did see a pretty good jump in CHIPS funding, which we did end up decreasing the local share amount based on receiving that additional funding, and the fact that there is a change to the CHIPS reimbursement where certain types of road programs, treatment programs, like a chip seal or it's a Nova chip or a micro surface type of paving is now reimbursable after 5 years versus 10 years. So where previously we would not consider those types of treatments as a reimbursement, and so we relied on that local share. We can now do those projects through the CHIPS program.
All right, thank you for that. Comments, questions on bridge program or the capital highway improvement numbers?
Yeah, I had a question on shared services. It seems like, I don't know, there's nothing there. Are we, maybe talk about that a little bit, like, could we be sharing, is it an opportunity we're missing?
We do quite often, actually.
Okay, well then, I don't see that reflected in.
It's the way the shared services work, and Tim can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but say we help out a town. The town covers the cost of all the materials, and then we can come in and provide the labor. For, like, say they wanted assistance with paving a road. They would purchase all the asphalt, and then the county would actually do the work to pave the road.
Okay, but that doesn't show up in the budget.
And then in return,
we get help back from the town, you know,
Yeah.
let's take our surface treating crew for an example. Okay, we go through the whole county, we do all our county roads with the surface treating crew, and there are certain towns that choose to be a part of that, and in return, we get the trucks from the towns and the villages that provide the trucks to haul the stone to do the surface treating crew. Shared services is not a new topic. I've been here 35 years, and it's been going on way before my time.
Yeah.
And
Well, I thought it was.
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
looking at zeros.
You know, we paved almost 8 miles of road this year for the town of Villanova, the county, you know what I mean, because of their wind farm money. It's a program, shared services is something that if we did not have shared services throughout the whole county, it's a give and take relationship. People in the whole county would not get their work done in the summer. I can guarantee you that for a fact.
Right.
It's just, that's how powerful it is.
Yeah.
And when you have a storm or when you have an incident, I could pick up a phone today and have 30 dump trucks here in about an hour if I needed to.
Right.
That's how close everybody works together.
And I thought there was.
Yeah.
It was going on.
But it's hard, Tom. I understand your question. Can you keep track? You really can't. Dollars and cents, it's just.
It is budgeted, it's just budgeted in the base pay line instead of a shared service line.
no, to be clear, it's borrowing. The towns borrow from the county when they need it, and then the county borrows back from the towns when they need it.
Yeah.
So there's no financial transactions.
Yeah.
There's no increase in costs or increase in revenue for either party. It's just a borrowing program.
Right.
Lend and borrow.
I'm fully supportive of it. I just wondered why I didn't, if it wasn't, no revenue. No revenue, no expenses, and just wondered where that was.
It's difficult, to track to that key, because the the trucks don't keep track of all their fuel and charge the town for all their fuel use for the days and all that. They fill up their trucks as normal, and then in return, you get the same back,
Yeah.
All right.
Kitty, you wanted to interject something?
I just wanted to provide some clarification on the classification, revenue classification in the summaries that's called shared services. That's when we actually do record revenue. For example, I can't remember if you got to it yet or not, like fuel. Did you review that yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. So when they get to the fuel, when other municipalities are purchasing fuel from us, that revenue is recorded in a shared services revenue account. That's what those revenue accounts are for, when we actually receive a payment for something. It's when other municipalities are paying the county for something.
Yeah, fuel, salt.
It's a matter of, what account, that classification is called shared services for revenue transactions. So it's a little just.
All right. Thank you.
In other environments, it's called mutual aid. The fire departments do a lot of mutual aid. The sheriff's departments and police departments do a lot of mutual aid. Same concept.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, did I miss snow removal?
We didn't.
They didn't, we're headed there shortly, I believe.
Okay.
Very mild winter.
And again, just to go back to the local share, that's my only concern, is that cut of, deduction of $500,000. Drew and I have talked about that, we can anticipate some increase in CHIPS funding next year, but that is definitely gonna be a little bit of some change in our road work.
I saw that as well, and I'm always been an advocate to, I don't like taking anything away from the department, because I know you're not experiencing cost cuts with material for the most part when it comes to road maintenance. Gravel's cost going up, stone cost goes up, equipment goes up, it costs more to buy the trucks to get them there. It's pavement prices are going up, go to buy the asphalt, buy the stone, everything. It's, so, when you're cutting the budget, you're gonna backfill it with some more CHIPS money, but are you gonna get that CHIPS money next year, and it's harder to reinstate the local share amount, so.
Right.
It is a concern. But you made the budget, so if you're good with it, I'm good with it, so.
All right, very good. Moving on.
Okay. Snow removal, D 5142. So the expenses for this consist of the road salt purchase as well as contracts with municipalities that plow county roads. The salt price for this year is expected to go up, and it's going up quite a bit. We have $2 million budgeted for salt, which is actually, seems like a lot, but it's actually a little light compared to where we would like to have the budget. You know, when we put these together, unfortunately, the salt price isn't known. All we knew was that it was going up, but it wasn't going up to where it was a couple of years ago, around $80 a ton. So we kind of, we took a stab a little bit at $62.50, utilizing our typical usage, and that's how we came up with the 2 million. So we now have the salt price, which is $70 per ton. So we're about 3,500 tons light if we, you know, compare that to, you know, our average usage. So I just want to point that out.
What was it last year?
Last year it was 49.40.
It had gone down last year, right?
It had gone down.
Yeah.
Last 2 years it had gone down.
Had gone down
Was it
last year.
49?
To
7. Who do we buy it from?
This next year's contract will be from American Rock Salt,
Where are
which
they
is out
from?
of Geneseo.
Geneseo.
Yeah. The good note is for the remainder of this year, currently right now, all of our salt shed buildings are full. So if we have a late winter, we should be okay, because I believe, Chad, we are probably over budget right now for salt. Pretty close. So hopefully we can get to January without having to purchase any salt
Through January?
through, yeah. Well, we can start ordering in January.
Are you guys, or I guess, is the county the same as the towns where they have to, I guess, promise that they're gonna take a certain
Yeah,
amount of
and we
tonnage?
budget every year, we budget 30,000 tons. You have to commit, and then you can buy
Up to
a certain percentage of
10%.
that, and up to, and then over.
How many towns do we sell or provide salt to?
There's quite a few. You've got, you know, there's Falconer, Ellicott, Ellington, that haul out of Falconer, so there's probably half a dozen.
So obviously, in that instance, it's not so much how much we need, but to make sure that they have enough for what they need as well.
Right.
And that's what you see in the revenue for this account, is those payments from those municipalities that do
Yeah,
use salt
pick up
from our
salt, yes.
stockpiles.
So in a perfect world too, with the increase in salt price, this revenue line is also predicated on 62.50 a ton. So that will be,
Oh, yeah.
the
that
revenue will
will
increase because we're still going to be charging them the $70 a ton.
So we'll charge them $70.
Well, that's
Yeah, we'll charge
$69.50, I think.
Well,
the
yes,
price is. I think the real price is like $69.50.
All right.
And then when they buy from us, do they just buy as they pick up then? So instead of having to pay that upfront cost like we would American Rock Salt, they just pay by the.
Correct, we
so,
invoice
I mean, they're
them,
still
yeah,
making
based on-
out,
Yeah.
even by paying $8 more than what it would be.
Anything else on snow removal? Yeah. always a big variable. All right. What am I missing, Drew? What next? Or does that exhaust your list?
Goes to machinery for the.
That exhausts my list for the D fund.
Yes, yep, agree, okay.
All right, the DM 5130, road machinery fund. This is all the expenses from the 3 shops, also fuel. It's the equipment and vehicle repairs. Also includes the stock room. Personnel-wise, there are no changes there. It's the mechanics, stockroom personnel, welders, and fleet manager, and there's, like I mentioned, no change in those positions. There were some amounts with increases, but overall there was a decrease in expenses for the DM fund compared to the 2025 budget. Some of the larger increases, we had some contractual pay changes. We had some additional equipment needs for 2026. We have a change in the vehicle lease rates. Just a little note on that is that all vehicles that we can lease have been leased. And we're actually starting now to trade those vehicles back in. And where we're seeing a projected increase is just from the initial trucks that were ordered. They were ordered at the base model. They didn't have 4-wheel drive, and they were kind of had the initial pricing. So now we're turning those back in. They don't have quite the same resale value. So there's a little increase there. But then there are also decreases for the DM fund, and primarily we're expecting a reduction in fuel costs, gasoline and diesel for 2026. And then revenue-wise, which is it's from the fuel use. We've got other county departments that use fuel, as well as other municipalities, school districts that use the fuel systems as well. So again, with the gas prices going down, or I should say the fuel prices going down, there is a decrease on that revenue side. And local share-wise, overall, there is a decrease from 2025.
What are we projecting, or what are we budgeting our diesel and gas?
We have diesel budgeted at $2.79 a gallon, and gasoline at $2.39 a gallon.
And how do those compare with 2025?
2025 gasoline, we had budgeted at $2.96 a gallon, and diesel at $3.59 a gallon.
That must be a special rate the county gets, or for a municipality?
Yeah, there's no tax.
No tax. Okay. All right. I was wondering, I'd like to pay, I'd like to pay that much for gas.
You scan your badge and takes the tax.
So Drew, when you say your projection for 26, do you have actual prices locked in yet, or is that at time of delivery?
It changes weekly by.
Yep, time of delivery.
Yeah. Time of delivery.
And you've been very good to us in your projections the last couple of years, so I'm not even going to challenge your projections.
Okay.
Not as much fun as it used to be.
No, I used to have a lot of fun with that.
I look forward to gas and salt.
Just depends on whether the air change plans.
Your predecessors.
Yeah, he was all about sand, wasn't he? Yeah.
So, under revenue, it says we're no longer charging the health department rent. Why is that? What's that about?
The health department had a room downstairs that they were having storage into. They charged, or stored a few items, some paint supplies and things like that. The contract came up, I mean, I don't know, is that something that, I guess?
I believe that was structured that way because, I think was that for the lead program?
Yeah.
So they were able to claim reimbursement for that cost of renting the space in their building.
So now they're no longer using the space?
Yeah, they still currently are. They still use the space, but I don't.
Not for that program.
Right.
Oh, they use it for a different program that they can't charge for reimbursement?
Correct.
Okay. So when I look at the detail of your fuel expense, the fuel revenue, I should say, you're projecting that diesel revenue will drop by 36%, and gasoline revenue will only drop by 1%. Yet our prices or costs are dropping pretty significantly.
I know we put those numbers together based off of usage. So we took a look at what the use has been and then applied that with the expected rate. I don't know if that matches better.
Okay.
I know that's how we put the numbers together, but, so I didn't know what the percentage were.
But you must have had a pretty good idea what the percentages, reductions in prices were going to be.
Yeah, our fleet manager put the prices together based off of the, the trends of the pricing that we've been seeing, and then we applied that just to the use numbers that we had.
And diesel dropped a lot more than the gas did, percentage-wise. Would that have any effect on it? That make sense?
Yes.
Because anticipated
But
change.
1% reduction in gasoline was the one that really stood out to me.
Yeah, it'd be different if it was 10 and 15.
Usage, the projected usage has dropped. Other contractual, 20% increase in other contractual, $25,000. What's that?
The other contractual, there was nothing specific to the increase other than looking at kind of the trends of where we've been coming out actual over the last couple of years and trying to bring that up more in line with that trend.
So do we know what is charged to other contractual? If only Jay Gould could be here.
That's all anything with the 3 shops and the administrative building, HVAC expenses, any overhead door repairs, any electrical work that's needed, any of those services that require a contractor to come in and do work on those facilities.
Okay, and this is for the facilities themselves, not the equipment.
Correct.
I got a question on it, it's kind of related with the snow removal. If we have a really bad snowstorm, or if we bring in, you have to bring in people for overtime, do you have to bring in a mechanic too to be, like, or is there already one there? In case, a truck breaks down?
Yeah, it just depends on what time, typically our mechanics, I think, work 7 to 3:15. But if we do have, if we're working 24 hours because of the snowstorm, yeah, there's a possibility that we'd have to call, so if we have to call somebody in.
Okay. Where would that, do you budget for that? Or, I haven't seen it, but,
That would have been in our overtime.
okay. It's just something I knew, well, when I was in the city public works department, I didn't know that when they brought in an extra driver, they also brought in a mechanic. Because he said, you can almost count on something breaking down.
We don't just bring them in just to bring them in. The only time I think we bring them in is if something does break down or something goes down.
Our equipment's much better.
Must be.
During the week, they are on, some of the mechanics are on the same shifts as well, so
Okay.
it may not always lend itself to an overtime situation. If it were on a weekend and there were needs, then that would be where more likely we would need mechanics to come in.
Do you have backup trucks too?
Yeah.
So someone can park that truck, hop in a backup truck for a day or two until that other one gets fixed too, to help mitigate some of that trouble.
Yeah, and again, it depends on the storm, how many trucks we need to send out, but we have at least one truck that's just sitting there for backup.
I'm gonna poke this bear based on snow removal. Since we sell to so many municipalities, and I know we don't like using sand in our own salt, would it be an idea?
Is it something in the blood in Frewsburg or water in Frewsburg or what?
You gotta carry on the John Davis
Sand.
legacy here. But, I mean, all the towns use it, to the best of my knowledge, or most of them. Why couldn't we have at least the municipality salt, so that we wouldn't have to order as much, I guess, per se? And it would still cause a savings.
What's your question?
Well, I mean, you have two separate salt piles in essence. You have a mixed pile for the municipalities, because I believe.
We don't.
I know.
Not all of them.
But would it save us something to have a mixed pile for them?
I see what you're saying.
I know we don't
Already
like to-
mixed.
I know we don't like to
So then
use the-
they're not theoretically taking as much salt.
Right. I mean, I know we don't like to use the salt sand mix because for melting purposes and to alleviate time on the roads and
The
whatnot.
biggest
but-
issue with that is storage. All the salt we keep in the fabric-covered salt sheds, and that pretty much holds our needed supply. So if you're mixing with sand, you still need to have storage for that, and then you're limited based off of how much salt that you can have for your needs versus having room for the salt sand mix.
Makes sense.
All right.
And the municipalities that are purchasing from the county are using straight salt.
I'm just interested, what are the virtues or drawbacks of pure salt versus salt sand mix, other than the capital nut for storage? Is one better or worse than the other, and why? Because where I'm going, of course, if it really is cheaper and it is just as good, then maybe there's a capital spending opportunity to save some money.
I don't think it's, number-wise, I don't think it's gonna be cheaper, because if you figure in, you're gonna have to haul sand in, you're gonna have to mix the sand and salt. You're not gonna have the, what I call burn-off time on the roads. Effectiveness. And then, therefore, you're gonna be sending trucks back out on overtime, probably to clean up what didn't get burned off with the sand and salt, okay? And then you're gonna have the cleanup in the springtime with the sand in our catch basins and along the roads, and if you drive town roads, and again, I was part of that, you're gonna have sand cleanup, you're gonna have sand in the road, you're gonna be replacing windshields, I mean, there's a lot. And then the biggest thing is for us, is in the middle of the winter time, if our sand salt pile gets down and it's a snowstorm, how are we gonna get sand in, get it mixed? Now you got frozen sand coming in. There's a lot of logistics that go into it, than just the cost. And safety. I think safety is the biggest thing. I know when I was with the town, we used to mix ours about 6 to 1, and then I changed it to about 1 to 2, and I saw a huge difference in safety. And again, bringing guys back in, the effectiveness is a lot better, because if everybody wants to go 65 miles an hour, 365 days of the year. You know what I'm saying? So that,
Well, then why don't we encourage the municipalities to stick to straight salt? I mean, it sounds like there's a technically right answer or not, or there's two right answers given two circumstances, but
I
you just ran
think,
through clean up expenses.
but I also think, Fred, that the traffic count too on our county roads is a lot higher than on your municipal roads.
Okay, so speeds and traffic count is perhaps the difference?
Correct.
Side roads?
Municipalities that want to use the sand salt mixture have, most of them will have their own shed as well. And-
Right.
And they still may purchase salt, but they have already pre-mixed it and filled their shed, most of them, you know. so
That's the capital nut I'm getting after.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me like on side roads, perhaps the salt sand mixture is optimal. On the bigger roads, pure salt is optimal. I think that's what it sounds like.
They both work, there's just a faster time, for sure, obviously with salt. If I go out and put salt on my steps, it's gonna melt a lot faster if I dump salt in a bag of sand.
Right.
But will it melt with sand eventually, maybe next year, but I'm still probably gonna break my back in the process.
Why we have the discussion is, you know, we're spending $2.2 million on salt. How much are we spending on blacktop, you know? And that's the point, is the blacktops, I'd rather give it to you in blacktop, but, you know, it's just really sad. You know, you put it on there to let it wash it off the road and into the ditch, and away it goes, you know? So it's just it's a waste, but it isn't, because it's a necessary, you know?
When you're driving on ice, you
need it.
You need it.
Yeah, you need it, it's a necessary.
Environmentally, what
Florida, it
is
wouldn't matter.
better, salt or sand, or the mix?
I'm sure the lake doesn't like salt. We've had that conversation with getting salt stuck in the drains of the 86 bridge and just goes right into the lake, but.
Well, I can tell you the Europeans use way less salt in similar climates. So they've got a different idea and a different solution. And their roads have way fewer potholes than ours do. And now, what it costs them, I have no idea in terms of making that trade-off, but it's, when you live there, it's, wait a minute, where's the salt truck? Don't do it. Grit, sand, whatever, yes, but very rarely do you see them throwing salt in.
What's their conditions of the road? Are the roads bare or are they hard packed?
Well, way up in the cold country, they're hard, Scandinavia, they're hard packed like Montreal. You don't want to be throwing sand around in Quebec City. I mean, salt around, because it just melts, freezes, and you got a worse problem. But you get a little farther south. I'm thinking Germany, which is kind of like us. Maybe they just drive more slowly. But I've always been interested in, Germans are intelligent people, and they certainly like their cars. And they like their Autobahn. And they've kind of come out with a different answer than we have. And I never quite understood why.
I mean, I think we can agree it's not going to change this 2026 budget, but I don't disagree with the conversation every year that we have on it, because I think at the same time, I mean, we could potentially put the numbers, at least comparison, to see what it would cost us, even if it was just from the municipal side, and I know it's a different building, but, I mean, if we're making revenue off them, but we got to take the upfront cost of buying all the salt. If we didn't have to buy as much salt and still serve the same purpose for them, then in essence, we're saving the taxpayers money, in my opinion.
Well, but like you said, Tim, I don't know if they're saving money if you have to send the trucks back out.
Or clean up after them in the spring.
Well, like Tim said, it's the ones that are buying from them or coming to get it and stuff, is they're putting salt down. They aren't mixing it. You know, so that answers your question. The ones that are mixing it have already mixed it, and it's sitting in a pile somewhere, you know? And if they run out, well, they're gonna probably start using just more salt unless they can get the sand that's not froze, like Tim said, you know? There's breaks in the weather, you know? Doesn't mean that if your stockpile's getting a little low and you wanna get some sand and a nice warm-up, you can do that, you know? It's just, county really can't depend on it because of the amount that we do use, you know?
I vote for salt.
Okay. All right, Drew, you want to hit on debt
I
service?
called John.
Was that next on your list? Do you have that?
Yeah.
Or any others that I've missed on your list that I don't have?
The debt service is the DM 9730, is that what you have?
9730.
Yep.
Yep.
That is payback, the principal and interest payments for bonds that were taken out several years ago for equipment purchases. I believe there's 2 bonds that make up that expense. And that is a decrease in expense, $219,000 roughly from 2025.
And just for point of clarification, I'm sure that we do, but do we have, or can you speak to scheduled large item purchases for these two? Are they scheduled, are they offset? How long will keep these plow trucks and other big pieces of equipment going? We have those all scheduled out or no? A rough idea?
We do have a rough idea, you know, plow trucks usually generally are about 10 years for replacement.
All right. Good, good. They're not a fun item to buy, I know, so. Questions, comments on debt service? Drew, do you have anything else for us that I've missed from my list?
I don't.
Okay, all right. I want to send your packet beforehand. Anything else while he is sitting here before we move into landfill discussion? I'm not seeing or hearing any. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
A lot of good information there.
Thank you, guys.
And we will be moving on to the landfill. I think I saw Aaron back here. We're doing okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, we were 15 minutes early.
Did you get a summary sheet? Thanks,
Aaron, welcome.
They've been pretty much sticking right to that.
All right, if you could introduce yourself and maybe hit on any FTE changes you have going on, and then walk us through the summary of the landfill.
Absolutely. Aaron Gustafson, Deputy Director of Public Facilities Environment, landfill manager. To move right into FTEs, if you look, it does show a 2 FTE increase from 25 to 26. That's really not true. And to explain it, if you look at the first line, there is a D line item, and I believe Drew touched on this. There was a little snafu with one of their employees being listed as one of ours, even though they were paying the bill. So never really, it's like a ghost software glitch or something, but, so that's one of the full FTEs. And the other is, last year when we did the budget scenario, we had an open position and we just missed it because it was open. We didn't count in the head that we didn't have at the time, so we should have had it in last year's. So really, there's a 0 net gain. It should have been in last year's FTE package. That makes sense?
Okay, appreciate that.
Is the position filled now?
Yes, yep. It was, I can tell you the name of the individual, it was a position at South County Transfer Station, so.
Okay.
Yep. All my positions are currently filled.
Good.
If you want to take a quick look at the overall summary, it does show that we're projecting less revenue, but we're also projecting less expenses. I've been the last few years trying to cut some of the overhead that I thought was a little over exaggerated, but there are some expenses that are going down, and we'll get into them as we go through the different departments and sub-departments, if you will. If we want to move on to 8161,000, this is our biggest department. I'm going to start with the expenses. The personal services, you see, did go up. Those contractual pay increases that you've seen probably across the board with every single meeting. Our equipment stayed the same. I'm trying to stick with the budget that we've been putting in. Contractually, we did go down some, but the big bulk of that portion was our leachate. We have to pay to get rid of the leachate to the BPU. With the cell being full now, I mean, we're all the way across the new construction. We're not getting direct rainwater results and stuff, so we're allowed to run some off as long as it doesn't hit the waste. So that less the intrusion of water in, creating more leachate. Plus, if you know, we were in negotiating with a leachate contract, and we assumed that it was going to come into play this year. It won't until September of next year. So I had budgeted a little extra money, thinking I may need that with an increased rate. So I backed that back down for another year because we're not going to need it. So between those two budgeting item and actualities, we've taken that payment down quite a bit. Employee benefits, health insurance, actually reduction in the GASB too, so that was nice to see. That's why you see that down. Moving to revenues, again, the department income, so that would be the revenue from local waste and stuff. It's down. This year's been slow. These are projections based on what this year was. Weren't a lot of one-offs. It's been a very steady year. It'll be a nice year for me to actually, like 2023 was a year I used for baseline of local waste stream, other than recently, but that's actually still out of county stuff. So we just took a halfway mark. I took any of the major one-offs, which the only thing we had was kind of Silver Creek school project, and that didn't end up being big, and came with a little less income. I reduced the projected income. Now the shared service, to go back to like Kitty said, that's just our out-of-county waste, what we consider out-of-county. Anything out-of-county is what we're taking in as a revenue. Same idea. There's an estimated reduction. The economy's still hurting a little. We're not getting as much demolition. People aren't necessarily buying as much and throwing away as much. It's just an economic reduction, in my opinion. We're not losing necessarily any customers or anything of that nature. Use of money and property, that's our projected interest on all of our invested money. As you know, we put away closure and post-closure monies. We have several $1 million in the bank for that, and this is just interest we're gaining back on how Kitty and them have invested it for us. And then, the miscellaneous, I mean, that I'm not predicting much of anything there, so I'm not really sure where that 8,000 actually came from, so there's no projected.
Could I ask, what was that in the past, or what could it be?
So, it's probably some kind of bond or grant reimbursement that came from something.
It's past revenues that, previous billings that hadn't been received that we may have collected late.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, or reimbursements from.
So what is the column 2025 projection? Is that what you're projecting 2025 to come in at December 31st?
Yeah, that's the projection, taking the halfway mark, correct, Chad?
But it's a projection for the full 12 months, right?
Yes.
So why are we budgeting in 2026, for example, to be 20% higher on personal services than you're projecting to actually spend in 2025?
Because of the contracted rate increase, personnel increase. Correct?
Those one-time bumps going to add us up to 20%? I don't think so.
Did you change where anyone was being charged?
I don't think so. Not enough to make that sense. Here's your budget.
It's, what's going on is your 2025 projection is significantly less than your 2025 amended budget. Which is, I would think is great performance. You should
Yeah, the
pat yourself on
only
the back.
item I budget in that is per se the overtime pay. And so I would have bumped that up slightly to meet the meet that. And then I'll budget the clothing allowance, but that actually got moved to the other.
Because it contractual, and then you're projecting 3.1 million for your 3086, 3087, yet you think you're going to spend 4.7 million next year. I mean, that's a huge jump. So I kind of question what that projection number is.
It's in personal services.
At the time the projections were being done, the overtime was about $100,000 less than what was projected for the year, so I think that
Well, that's good.
attributed to it. So I think that attributed to what the overall projection for the year is, because that's factored into that .1.
As it should. I mean, it's
Sure,
a trend, and you should have projected it forward.
But that's why I believe that's,
Okay, but then,
projection's lower.
I understand, but that just means your projection's valid. And if your projection's valid, then a 20% increase on it is not.
We'll have to take another look at the projections, or those are just what we calculate. The budget itself actually pulls in the actual employee positions. But we'll just look to make sure that we included all the number of pay cycles and what would be accrued back to this year to make sure we.
Because I'm part of the private sector, but I'm used to doing budgets off a really, good projection, not doing budgets off past budgets. And so if somebody has really generated some savings and lower overtimes and better productivities, then that good performance is expected to continue into the future. But
The actual might include vacancies if they've had any unfilled positions so far. The budget actually is, for personnel services, is very specific in that it pulls in, we start with a bottom line budget for personnel costs. We pull in the actual filled positions at the time we begin the budget process, and they add back only additional positions that might be vacant that will be filled. So what I'm saying is the budget number is probably a more solid number because we budget it by actual position. So the projection, like I said, we can take a look at it
Sure.
to see if it should be revised at all.
Was that mistake employee for the positive in there as well for that projection?
That was last year, that one. So we have a little turnover recently, but that'd be the only miss when they're doing that number. Like I said, I only do the overtime number and one other small number in here.
Well, that would affect the projection is what Fred's saying. Fred's saying that you, at the end of the year, are gonna come in at $2,300,000, and the amended budget is $2,630,000. So that's a $330,000 difference.
good job.
Yeah, why? But also, we're projecting now that, the budget is gonna be 2.7 million. Where's that?
Backsliding.
Why is that?
Why are we backsliding?
Yeah,
And I
it's a
think-
big difference.
What
To
I'm
your
saying
point.
is, when we calculate the projections for .1s for base pay, we do have to factor in the number of pay cycles up until the point in time and what's going to be accrued back. So it's not strictly taking, so that's why we can take a look to make sure that we included, so the projection might be low, is what I'm saying.
I suspect you're right, but forget for a moment, what do you call them? Personal services, and look at contractual. So contractual, why, they're really performing well based on the projection, only going to spend 3.1 million against a budget of 5 million. That's great.
Yeah.
But then we're going to jump it all over it back up to 4.7. Wait a minute. So again, you know, that now, why? I would love to believe the projection, I really would. But I think I'm hearing maybe I shouldn't.
No, that, contractuals are, projections are different, so I'm just saying that the personnel
No, I got
costs
you.
have to be taken into consideration, more factors in terms of where the actual costs are in the year versus what's left.
All right, well, anyway,
There might have been one-time purchases that did or didn't occur in your contractuals, so that's kind of a different.
Correct. And with that being leachate production, this has been a very dry year. We're in a drought condition. I mean, there's no telling what could have happened if we had a rainy year and completely change that dynamic. I don't want to undercut that leachate bill. And we can go through the contractuals line by line, and I can tell you what we've done, but, because I do.
well, that's really your I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's really the quality, I mean, how good is your projection? Because I would rather, but I guess that's not the way it's done, I would rather analyze a budget based on projection.
Agreed.
In terms of, because otherwise I'm forced to go back to 24 and divide it by 2. But, all right.
All right, we're ready. Use of my balance, sale of property, RE 118, sale of property compensation. We're going down because of some of the, these are one-offs when we're selling equipment back or auctioning it off, and we don't know, that we don't have a lot of that projected for the next year. And then miscellaneous. Again, no projected prior year reimbursement. We already went over that, is what that was. Moving on to 8160, department, subdepartment 6,000. Landfill environment closed. Personal services, contractual pay increases is why that was construed to go up. Contractual reduction in leachate production, again, because we do have to take and haul the leachate from one of our closed landfills. And then also in that category, I do hope to reduce this one more. And to go back to your discussion of, I think it was the steel plant properties with the, our closed landfills, we have all that monitoring that even though we don't own them, some of them, we've agreed to do that for these places. I'm looking at asking the state to do some of the groundwater testing maybe every 4 years or every certain number of years rather than every year as we currently do. For the very reason that the ugly monster hasn't raised its head in 40 years, it probably isn't going to. So we may be able to justify cutting costs on the sampling and testing on those, which would drastically reduce our costs in that line item, because the lab testing and the sampling and the reporting on that is all involved in that line item with contractuals as well. So hopefully that number is going to drop drastically more. But I have to get the approval first.
Aaron, thank you for that, and that's largely the same suggestion I made to Drew on the brownfield sampling for the Ropeland site, so.
Yep.
Thank you for that, and please coordinate with Drew, and you too may be able to coordinate your actions.
And then in employee benefits, reduction in health insurance costs again, is the small reduction in that. That's not a very big division. There's not a lot of money involved with it. It's just what we have, we have just like partial allocations from a couple people to that as far as the personnel's go. Any questions to close landfills? Moving on to subdepartment 8167,000, this would be our recycling. Personnel services, contractual pay increases, again, equipment, there is no equipment associated with this one, we utilize it all out of our 1,000. Contractual, you'll see a slight increase because I'm expecting with a new contract with our electronics recycling vendor. It shouldn't be too bad, but I didn't want to undercut ourselves, knowing that it was going to go up, because we did reach out for an extension, and they did not want to do that with the current pricing. And then employee benefits, of course, health insurance reductions again are some of the reasons why that one's slightly down. Now, the revenue side of this.
Aaron, can I ask,
Go ahead.
that electronics, the individuals don't pay to drop the electronics off.
Correct.
But we pay to have them.
So there's certain items when they get that, yes, we have a contract that we have to pay for that that costs them to get rid of, like the rechargeable batteries that might be in the laptop or something to that matter. There's a fee with some of those things.
But we
And
don't
some of the
charge.
things that are in there that shouldn't be in there, we help pay for them to dispose of.
But the customer is not paying us.
Correct.
But we're,
Yep.
because I get that presented to me, oh, it's free. I go, well,
And that's some of the changes, if you look back in some of our costs and on the revenue side, you won't see it so much in 2024s, but if you look back to 2022, so we were charging for the TVs.
Right.
All we were doing is passing the buck for what we were charged.
Right.
So now you see a huge reduction in our costs, but you also see a reduction in our revenue on that side, if you look back there, compared to now, because now that we're not charging, there's no fee.
yeah. I mean, I like the not charging, but
Yep.
people
Like to
need to
know
be
fee
made
too.
aware that there is a cost to doing.
Yeah, it's not too bad, so far, we'll see. Just at a conference, electric batteries, there's a lot of hubbub about them, as you've probably all seen, the fires everyone's had, not just the landfill, and the dangers of them. I think FedEx was even talking about not even shipping them after such and such a day, so that's gonna be a drastic change. Handling batteries is gonna be a big deal and start costing people a lot of money. But there's some outs there, we have them, Call to Recycle, it's on our website, I think I've talked about this, I don't wanna go down a rabbit hole, but, hopefully there's more of that getting out there.
Right, good. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions on the expense accounts as I start in the revenue?
And maybe it's a rabbit hole, but we're under recycling.
Yeah.
The Producer Responsibility Act, does that ring a bell?
Yes.
And that's bouncing around Albany. How does that, if its passage or not, affect you? Now, that's a leading question because I'm in the glass business, and so I have a constituency, if you like, that has an opinion. But,
Yeah.
but I kind of want to understand the end-to-end economics.
So the intent of that producer responsibility is to create a market for the cyclic economy so that we might be able to get rid of some of these recyclables, okay? Hopefully it's going to, and I would like to think it's going to incentivize a producer to use some of these more recyclable materials rather than raw. I don't know how the state will approach it. There'd be more of a fine or fee, if you will, or something, I don't know. But that is the intent of it, is to create more of a demand, to create more of a cyclical market, to not only utilize these recyclables, but to also be responsible for some of the bad materials being used, like PFAS materials and that type of thing, to try to limit those going into new products. To your end of it, I don't know that the glass has enough weight to make it in the new bottle expansion bill, so it may be not affecting you so much right now. But I think some of the plastics may get expanded to say like your iced tea drinks and your sports energy drinks and that kind of thing that are in plastic containers may get a 5 cent or 10 cents if they increase it.
Yeah, the 5 cent or 10 cent return thing, when I read through the legislations, makes sense. But this idea of having every industry chase around all over the place to try and pick stuff up is talk about driving the carbon footprint through the ceiling to get some, to save some carbon somewhere else is.
Yeah.
My math does not work.
I think there's a bit of ideology in some of the states' mandates. I would agree with that. Some of it has good legs, and some of it has, I think, some good feel-good meaning to it, but it isn't always, at least at this time, very feasible. I agree with you. Or we're stepping over $1 to pick up a dime, environmentally for sure.
All right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or we're spending the $1 to pick up a dime.
Right. I would love to see our markets better because, you know, as I spoke at public facilities, the state would like to take 80% of our MSW and recycle it. Well, we can't, we have a hard time getting rid of what we have now. And we have the Shaw County has a 37% diversion rate, which is pretty good. So I'm not even seeing a lot of waste, compared to other counties, landfills, waste management units, if you will. But it's just.
Because I noticed that the Association of Counties last year came out in favor broadly of the Producer Responsibility Act. And my reaction was, well, it'll save landfills money, but it's going to cost the consumer more money than the $1 to save the dime.
Potentially. Part of it's fighting that PFAS epidemic, though, coming up. They don't want more 3Ns and DuPonts if they can help out, if they can cut that, those chemicals off at the production level. That's part of that driver, I'm sure of it.
Fair enough.
Revenues, department income, we have a reduction in recycling materials period just coming in because the BPU now is taking all their stuff to Casella and not giving it to us, so that's okay with us. It's just less we have to haul and deal with. There's less operational costs in it, but it is going to show less in revenue because we're just giving less materials. There is no real shared services on that line item in the sale of property, so there was an uptick in recycling rebates, so but it's kind of falling off right now, actually. We just changed in September 1st, but plastic I was actually taking for nothing, and now I have a charge on it, but we're taking plenty, by volume of cardboard paper to overcome that cost. So we're still making money in the end, it's just not a lot. But if you see, the projection is down, so we cut it down as far as on the revenue end because the market's just not there. It's going the wrong way right now. Hopefully it'll turn. Maybe if they put a portion of that PBR back, it'll spark something. The industry's not there, so I don't expect anything to happen fast. Any questions on the revenue side of recycling? We'll go to the sub-department 8190, the other department 8190, household hazardous waste. This is one area that we are going to increase in some costs, so personnel services just went up slight. Again, I have a partial allocation of an FTE to this account. No equipment involved in it. Contractually is where the cost is going up again. New vendor for our household hazardous waste events. As you know, we do 2 a year. The attendance has been down from years past. It's been steady, a little less, but steady. And then we reached out, this contract is also up, and we expect increased costs to renew again. And so, plus the new vendors, since the last vendors that we found our stuff in a container in New Jersey at some point, from one of our events, was quite a bit more just to begin with. They're more on the up and up, if you will, I guess, and just cost a lot more. And then the paint care program that they implemented into this, that is also, you know, most Sherwin-Williams are taking it back now too. It's added some cost to each event, but, so, as you see from last year, it's not a lot more, but it was a big year jump from, I don't know, when we changed that one, Chad, 2021, maybe?
The contractor?
Yeah, 22, 3 years ago, so 22. So, that was quite a jump. I mean, we were doing events for $8,000, and now they're $16,000 per event. That's why I went from 3 to 2, partially because of that, partially because the participation was lower, just kept going down. But we'll always keep 2 as long as I can. If we need 3, we'll add 1. We'll just have to, you'll see it. You know, I'll have to get some more money.
It's a good
budgeted.
program to have.
Yeah. Yep, it is. And there's no revenue with this one. Any questions on household hazardous waste? Moving on to the other department, 9710, this is our landfill debt service. As you can see, there's only expenses here, but they are decreasing. We're paying our bonds down. As I look, I think the only bond is the 18 million that we had, and that's due to be done at the end of 2029. So I suspect somewhere in there we'll be looking for another one, because we may need to build in the other stage of our cell at that time, just to be ahead of the game, at least with the current rates we have. That's the gist of the departments. Is there any more questions on any of those? I'm happy to answer any questions on any line items or overall questions that you might have.
Aaron, I'm not hearing any. Thank you for that. Moving on to energy.
That is
Well, that's not you.
Miss Kitty.
All right.
I can sit here to ask any operational.
Anything else for Aaron then while he is here? Thank you very much for that, those summaries. We appreciate that. And Kitty's joining us.
Sure. Kitty Crow, Director of Finance. Like Aaron already said, he can answer any operational questions. I can let you know what's covered in the couple of line items that are in this budget. So the energy plant, we do lease that out, and we collect a lease payment annually. So that's really the bulk of the budget here. We do also have debt service payments for the enterprise funds such as this. Only the interest is posted as an expense along with depreciation, and then the principal payments are applied to our long-term liability. So you can see that in the 2026 budget, it does reflect that there'd be a net gain of $343,000, but that cash is used to pay our principal payment, where depreciation, as you know, is a non-cash item. I forgot my notes over there. Just as a reminder for some of you who are newer, the energy plant lease contract goes out to 2040, and after 2030, our debt service will be paid down, and then the structure of our contract with the customer changes, and we will get royalties after that. We won't really have any of our own operating expenses because the debt will be paid down, and then at that time, that net gain could be utilized toward another purpose.
Another purpose within the landfill, right?
Not necessarily. Yeah. So in the past, we had initially, on inception of the energy plan, the plan was that the profits would be able to be utilized in the general fund to, defray, property taxes. A lot of things changes after the plant was initially built in terms of energy prices, which plummeted at the time, and so that over time did not become a profitable enterprise, and that's when we switched to leasing the program out, or the plant out, under a little different model. So now we have this as our current structure. So once we've paid down the debt, the net profit could be used to transfer to the general fund or to the landfill.
Whatever you decide.
The landfill, I know, is trying to do some good capital projects, and they're in need, and so this could be useful, but as we know, that who knows what that will be in 10 years anyway.
Yeah, so the distinction really here too is that these net profits from the energy plant are allowed to be transferred to the general fund, whereas they say profit from a sewer district, it can't come over to the general fund. So this is a little bit different type of fund, the landfill and energy plant funds, by their definition.
Do we take in waste from out of county?
Yes,
And we do that why?
to pay the bills.
Okay. When we're doing that math, what you said just a minute ago, tweaked it, do we calculate the cost of bringing forward the capital cost of building or expanding our facility along Pole to deal with that? I mean, short term, it's a marginal revenue greater than a marginal cost.
Yeah.
But is it, through the life of the project, a
So-
good deal?
I look at the depreciated values that Todd puts together with, that's where I'm paying back my capital on. So based on what he projects, usually I think that's a 10-year payoff, at least on the equipment, I know it is. So I have to take a look at his expense that he's taking out of me, and I balance the budget just year to year based on that. So with these projects coming up, I know that that's going to go up.
So basically, is your depreciation charge big enough to create a sinking fund to fund the capital expansion when it becomes necessary?
Currently, we're going to be, I think we'll be okay. If we get, I'm looking for more waste, and not for the fact that right now we're paying the bills fine. Looking forward with inflation as a whole, not just capital, but all the bills. I want to bring a little more waste in, because if I can bring some more in, we have room, permitting by the state and everything, we're able to, I can keep the waste rates the same. I don't have to raise rates, so I can keep the rates low for all of Chautauqua County's residents.
Yeah, and that's fine, I'm just trying to make sure
Yeah.
that when it comes to, you use the phrase, open a new cell, or open a new, and we had to get a bond. I said, whoa, okay, now, what do we want to effectively bring that date forward, or do we want to effectively push that date back?
Correct.
Based on out-of-county stuff we collect?
Correct.
That's the math
Well-
I'm trying to make sure we get right.
And right now, currently, with waste intake, we will have all the bond paid for in advance of needing a new one, or maybe at the same point in time.
Sure.
So there's a balance, right? We won't have the depreciation coming, but we'll add a new depreciation. If we take more waste in, we'll push that up,
That's right.
but we'll also be generating a bunch more revenue to pay for it.
So who does that math in terms of, is the current revenue really worth bringing that big capital nut forward?
I'm doing the math on it based on the depreciated math that I get from what Todd put together in those, you'll see the line items in the 1,000s there.
Okay.
Talking with the commission and other people, and looking at, because waste is such a erratic, if I can't count on just we're already past counting on just in-county waste to pay the bills. We're at a 70-30 percentage. 70% of what we take in is in-county. 30% is out-of-county. If I was to eliminate out-of-county per se, I would have to raise rates immediately, right?
Sure.
Simple math. What I'd like to do is keep the rates lower or low, trickle in a little more out-of-county, because we're not going to get it anywhere else unless we build a new city and populate it, and unfortunately, the population in Chautauqua County is going the other way. We need to look outside to do that. Now, if you guys would rather, with the direction, say, I don't want to take any more waste, I would like the longevity, which we'll still have quite a bit of longevity, don't get me wrong. We're running at 50% capacity, just over, from what the state allows us to have. We could certainly just raise the rates and trickle in the waste. So where's that balance? Where's that
That's
dichotomy?
exactly what I'm trying to
You
get.
know what I mean?
on.
So with a good feel with the commission and the feel that I've gotten talking with many of you, it seems like we'd like to keep the rates as low as we can to benefit. It's an economic driver. If we're going to have someone here, you got cheap industrial and commercial rate fees. And then it's just a benefit for the general population here. But to keep them low or maintain them at a level that they're at, we'd need to take in some more waste. And it's something we can do and have done. In years past, we've taken in, last year we did about 225,000 tons, and we've been up to 285, almost 300 tons. I'd like to be back toward that level. Again, that was more out-of-county waste. But you also can look at it as non-taxpayer revenue. It's all out-of-county. It's M2 if you want to go from an economic standpoint, coming into Chautauqua County, not leaving. The only out-of-county contract I have is with Cattaraugus County. That's up for renewal. They bring all their waste to us. It's just an agreement. They pay the gate rates, whatever they are at the time. But all their waste generated revenue is coming to us for the most part, other than their operational costs. So we're on the gain side, which is a plus. So that's the theory going into it. So yes, I have a lot of control on that. The commission and I have had a lot of discussion on it.
The other thing to keep in mind too is there's some landfills that are, Chautauqua County has a great landfill and a good functioning landfill, and other counties in parts of the area do not, and not all municipalities, they're not, a lot of private-run landfills that are closing too, so the potential to bring in more out-of-county waste is evident. It's really just comes to a transportation portion, but I think that transportation gap it'll get filled out of necessity, because there's going to be places that there's nowhere for them to take their garbage.
Yeah.
And there's only so many rail cars in New Jersey that can hold it for so long. So it's got to go somewhere, and we have a good functioning landfill that can take it. It's just some logistics,
But to the logistics, and to my statement, where's that balance? Yeah, we're at just over 50%. Do we want 200 ton more? I don't think so. I don't think we want to go to that level. Why would we want to max out at the rates we're at? We want the longevity that we have currently. So if we could trickle in a little more, keep the rates low, and create that longevity, and maintain a portion of that longevity, I should say, is that a better model than just keep it raising prices and having a lot of longevity that's a burden on our taxpayers, on our residents, users, I should say.
And I don't want to belabor, but I'll give you just a simple analogy in my business. And so I can take on contract pressing for other people. On a marginal basis, I make good money. But for every 100 hours I put on that press, I bring, $100,000 nut that much closer, because it has got an hour rated life. And so I need to understand not my depreciation schedule on my old press, but what my new press is going to cost.
Right.
And that's much, much bigger scale, but I think it's the same concept.
Sure, it is. And even those before us kept that in mind, because when we built this cell, all the exterior needs for that cell are in place for the next 2 stages. So moving forward, we'll only need to do the internal stage and the pump house. And literally, we've got extensions ready for that, part of that. So we have, there's a lot of forethinking in the landfill, because you have to with the progressions and stuff, but with the unknowns of the market, it's tough without contracts. If I can get another contract, I can give you a positively balanced budget, hopefully not over, overly on the heavy side, but right now you see my budget's negative, because I'm just being conservative in how I'm looking at the waste coming in. I'd love to have a contract giving me another 100,000 tons, and I can give you a beautiful, self-sustaining budget that has the compensation for the capital paybacks and some other in-house projects we could do on this budget line
It
items.
gives you more certainty, sure.
And certainty for the future, correct?
I got it.
So that's what we're looking for currently.
Well, it sounds, I am comforted from the discussion, how shall I say?
I'm waiting to hear back on the RFP we put out for some more waste with another county. We were competitive, to give you a little insight, on one, but it was too far away, like as Dan alluded to. But another one's on the books, and it's coming. Sooner or later, I'd like to control it. That's what I'm saying. Control how it comes, take in only what we all agree and feel for, and then stop it, because otherwise it's going to get forced on us to the max, so.
Where is the other out-of-county waste coming from?
All over. I mean, we get as far as Binghamton, Erie County, New York, Erie County, PA, Sedgwick County, Allegheny. It depends on what it is, what the project might be.
From Canada?
No, we're not getting anything from Canada.
And what is the lifespan of a cell? Can you project that, or?
Yeah, I mean, depends on your intake. So we project it based on our volumes every year, actually. We do a depreciated calculation, because we have to report that to the state anyways. So based on what we take every year, and the airspace, because we're allotted only so high, so it all depends on the influx. I mean, I think our depreciation, at 50% with the airspace that we had, I mean, we're still looking at, I think, 30 years right now almost, with just the stage we're in, 20 for sure. So we have time and room. I mean, we could take more in and still not have to build the cell immediately. It just will come a little sooner. So we can either displace the costs, which will get higher the further back we displace it, or manage it where maybe it's a little more upfront, but we should have the money to do it. Either way, we're okay. It's just how do we want to treat the residents of Stockton County?
Long-term and short-term. I mean, I notice when transportation, it probably has to do with rail, but of course, every day, down on the lake shore, we see unit trains coming from, I guess, New York City, headed for, I don't know, Ohio, Indiana.
New York ships its waste to Ohio, PA, it's all over.
So
They want this circular economy, this
Okay.
idealistic model, but we're still shipping waste out, and like out of sight, out of mind type of attitude, and because there's a lot of thoughts and theories in Albany I don't necessarily understand or agree with, but yeah, actually it's trucking though, probably the bigger, because we don't have rail service anyways available
That's
right
the
now.
issue, I'm sure.
And a lot of it just has to do with distance and time, because there's trucking units that'll pick up a day haul and send 6 trucks to it all day long, and as long as they can make it there and back, because through some, licensing and trucking laws, you can only do so much in a day, and they need good turnaround. But we're very competitive. We're cheap. Extremely. I believe, the cheapest in the state, if not the country, in many ways. We've managed it well. Do we want to keep it that cheap? I mean, people from this county get sticker shock going other places and paying waste fees. It's incredible. Any other questions,
All right,
guys?
very good. Anything else regarding energy or the debt service there?
Yeah, or operations of, I can answer any questions if you have any there.
Or either committee?
Well, I've been very pleased with the discussion. I think Legislator Johnson summed it up, that he's gotten some good feeling of the answers to his questions. And I would like to compliment Aaron on his management of the landfill and the related functions. And as he indicated, the residents of Chautauqua County are the beneficiaries of his good work and the beneficiaries of the fact that the way we manage our landfill and the way we treat it as an enterprise fund. And we expect it to be self-sustaining and self-supporting, and it is very effective at that. So we're very fortunate to have the landfill, and we're extremely fortunate to have Aaron and his staff managing it with the advice and assistance of the landfill commission. Thank you.
Yes, very good. Well said. Agreed. Thank you very much for that. Anything else? We have...
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
On behalf of DPF, I just want to thank the legislature for all your support throughout the year. But also I want to thank all my department heads as they work very hard on a daily basis for the people of Chautauqua County. So thank you very much.
Very good. Very good. Thanks for that, Tim. All right. If nothing else, just a note that we are scheduled for an hour lunch. I think we'll keep that. I am, some know, most know, unable to be here this afternoon, so my understanding is Legislator Anthony is going to iron fist it and take over this afternoon, so we appreciate that, and my apologies for that, and thank you all very much, and we'll break for lunch.
Thank you.